طيب. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Before we begin, people have been talking about progressiveness, progressive so and so and so and so. I want to give you an example of, and I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to read to you something. What could progressive fill in the religion? What could progressive and then fill in the religion look like? What could progressive Christianity, Islam, Judaism, whatever, look like? All right, I'm going to read something to you only, and the source I'll read also where I got it from. Okay, طيب. So, what does it mean to be called a progressive Christian? What does it mean to be called a progressive Christian? Ready? All right, here we go. Don't write. Just read. No. Don't write. Just listen. All right, here we go. Number one, believe that following the path and teachings of Jesus can lead to an awareness and experience of the sacred and the oneness and unity of all life. Type. Number one. Number two, affirm that the teachings of Jesus provide but one of many ways to experience the sacredness and oneness of life, and that we can draw from diverse sources of wisdom in our spiritual journey. Number three, seek community that is inclusive of all people, including but not limited to conventional Christians and questioning skeptics, believers and agnostics, women and men, those of all sexual orientations and gender identities, those of all classes and abilities. Are with me? Number four, know that the way we behave towards one another is the fullest expression of what we believe. Number five, find grace in the search for understanding and believe there is more value in questioning than in absolutes. Number six, strive for peace and justice among all people. Number seven, strive to protect and restore the integrity of our earth. Number eight, commit to a path of lifelong learning, compassion, and selfless love. And then I have a colleague of mine who adds the following: less concerned about life in the hereafter, and more concerned about life in the here and now. Lastly, strong affirmation of scientific insight and its dialogue historically and now with theology. This is from progressivechristianity.org. 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 The vast majority of this we agree with. Some of it is controversial. Alrighty? It's the controversial that is partly what I mean by how does Aqidah or theology and Islamic thought look like in the year 2019? As I mentioned in the video yesterday. Alright? This is an example. Alrighty? Again, progressivechristianity.org. Take a look at it and reflect and think about the people that talk about progressive Islam. Alright? I don't know if they have a definition yet, but do not be surprised if what I read to you might be part of the eventual application of progressive Islam. And then afterwards, you and I, we have to ask, well, how does that work with the theological system that we are all aware of in the Revelation? I will not answer that question. I'll leave it up to you to think about that. Let me know what you have later on. It's not a homework assignment, just something for you to think about. Okay? As you probably already realize, more of my stuff is more about thinking about than actual other stuff. Alright? Anyway, alrighty. Let's get back to the ball game here. I don't know who's online. If you online, may Allah help you and guide you. Hey! Assalamu alaikum, Poly Juice. What's going on? Munir, what's happening, bro? MashaAllah, alhamdulillah. I got Polyjuice on the joint. I got Munir, alhamdulillah. طيب. Who's here today? Who's here looking at me and I'm looking at them? Sister Lisa is here. Sister Mariam is here. Brother Najib is here. Is his name on here? This joint? Yeah. And brother, what's your name again? Forgive me.
Adam.
Adam? Allahu Akbar. What a lovely name. Adam. MashaAllah. Your name's on here, brother. So I need for you to write your name and your email address. Do you mind?
Yes.
You do mind?
Oh, no, I don't.
Oh, okay. Would you be so kind as to write your name and your email address? Appreciate it. Thank you. Bismillah. Jazakallah khairan. MashaAllah. Adam Hamida. MashaAllah. طيب. Beautiful. All right, peoples. Let's get started, inshallah. Oh, what you go over there for? All right. Excellent. طيب. Alhamdulillah. All right. Here we go. Yeah, Mariam. Read, sister.
Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala
Sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
rahimahullah. واعلم أن مدار جميع هذه الوسيعة على هذا الأصل وما ذكر قبله وبعده وهو متفرع عليه وراجع إليه.
Stop. All right, very good. All right. Bismillah, alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. Know that. And we're going to look at this sentence right here. From here to here. Okay, from here to there. Alrighty? Make sure we're good to go, inshallah. First of all, madar refers to, comes from the verb dara yaduru, right? To literally go around. You can say dara Muhammad ala kada. Dara Muhammad ala kada. Muhammad goes around such and such, for example. Okay? طيب. Wasiyya means, we talked about, means advice. متفرع, which is right here. فهو متفرع refers to something that's branched off of, right? Like fara, like a branch, something that's derived, right? Something that's derived or based, all right, or based off of. راجع إليه, goes back to. راجع إليه, goes back to. راجع إليه, goes back to. Alrighty? طيب, let's put it all together. Alright, now then. The wasiyya is the statement that we just read yesterday. وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ لَوْ اجْتَمَعَتْ, until the end of that sentence. That's the wasiyya. That's the advice that's being given specifically here in this context. The asl is referring to احفظ الله يحفظك. Asl here means principle. Asl here means principle. Alright? Asl, I'll circle it for you if you look at the board, means principle. Asl, right here, sister, means principle. Alright? That means principle. Okay? Now then, the meaning of the sentence says that this entire advice, all right, revolves around, goes around a particular asl, a particular principle. All right. In other words, وَعْلَمْ أَنَّ الْأُمَّةَ لَوْ اجْتَمَعَتْ until the end of the sentence there. That's the wasiyah, or that's the advice. Revolves around the principle احفظ الله يحفظك. Okay? وَمَا ذُكِرَ قَبْلَهُ وَبَعْدَهُ. ذُكِرَ means what is mentioned. ذُكِرَ means what is or what has been mentioned. Okay? And what has been mentioned before it, in other words, before this particular advice, and what is mentioned after this particular advice, فهو, it is متفرع عليه وراجع إليه. All right, it is based upon this asl, and goes back to this particular asl. All right, it is based upon this particular principle, and it goes back to this particular principle. In other words, this particular advice that the Prophet ﷺ is giving to Ibn Abbas radiyallahu ta'ala anhuma is an advice that is based upon and goes back to the principle of ihfadillah yahfadka. Okay? With me, Lisa? You with me, Lisa? Good. All right, very good. Okay. Why do you say that? All right. Why do you say that? That's the next question, right? I mean, when you make a sentence, that's a declarative statement. You made a statement. Explain yourself. The next set of sentences explains the whole thing. Okay? I'm going to erase this now. We're now going to look at the explanation of what we just read. Okay? So what is the explanation, Maryam?
فإن العبد إذا علم أن لن يصيبه إلا ما كتب الله له من خير وشر ونفع وضر وأن اجتهاد الخلق كلهم على خلاف المقدور غير مفيد
البتة. You can stop at the تاء مربوطة. It's okay. أيوة. علم
حينئذ أن الله وحده هو الضار النافع المعطي المانع.
Stop. Very good, very good. We're going to go through this whole, thank you, very good. We're going to go through this sentence now. All right. The explanation, again, I have highlighted for you. Alrighty. In between the blue brackets. Lisa. With me, Lisa. From in abd until here. Okay, Lisa?
Yes.
فَإِنَّ الْعَبْدَ. Okay. If the servant or slave, right, and it's okay for us to use the word slave, okay? Don't be ashamed to say the word slave. I don't get offended because you don't mean slave in the American Western ideological sense. I'm talking about a bigger issue. We are all slaves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You understand? All right, some people kind of feel, should I say the word slave, especially around black people, especially around black Muslims? Yes, you can. Why? Because we're all slaves to Allah Azza wa Jalla. I'm not slave to a white man. I'm not slave to a black man. I'm not slave to a Latino man. I'm not slave to nobody. I'm slave to Allah Azza wa Jalla. You understand that? We good? Good. Because some people feel uncomfortable in using that word. That's why. Especially in 2019. I'm serious. It's really sad now. Like, we got to be careful with all these things instead of us looking at it from the Islamic paradigm. You know what I'm saying? Really. Anyway, I'm going on a tangent. Forgive me. فَإِنَّ الْعَبْدِ, the slave or the servant, if that person, alima, if that person knows, and لَيُصِيبَهُ, that nothing befalls him, إِلَّا مَا كَتَبَ اللَّهُ لَهُ, except what Allah has, kataba here means It literally means written, but here it means decreed. Okay, decreed. All right. فإن العبد, that is because the servant or slave, whenever, or if, you can use either, it can mean whenever or if, knows, alima, knows that nothing befalls that person except what Allah has decreed for him with respect to min khair wa shar, with respect to good, evil, naf'an, benefit, dur, harm. Alright, so khair is the opposite of shar. Naf' is the opposite of dur or dar. Both are correct to say. Okay? طيب. That is because the slave or the servant, whenever or if that person knows that nothing befalls that person except what Allah has decreed for that person with respect to good, evil, benefit, and harm. In addition, وَأَنَّ اجْتِهَادَ خَلْقٍ, now we're looking at that part now, okay? Look at this part right here. Alright? In addition, that the efforts, ijtihad here means efforts, okay? That the efforts of all of creation, okay? على خلاف المقدور, I think the best way of translating it is to say, has not been decreed. Has not been decreed. Alright? Al-Maqdur is from the word qadar. Alright? Meaning, what? Decreed. Decreed, alright? Maqdur means something decreed or something measured. Something decreed or something measured. Here, it doesn't mean something measured. It means something decreed. Okay? So how do you know that? Depending upon the context. Depends on the context. Najib, you with me, ya Sheikh? Alhamdulillah. Y'all with me? Polly, Munir, y'all with me? Inshallah, you with me? Sarabaka, you with me? Yes, I yell at the TV screen. Don't think I'm crazy. I'm making sure that people are with me, alright? So وأن اجتهاد الخلق كلهم على خلاف المقدور, and the slave knows, you understand, knows that the efforts of all the creation, alright, could not be decreed. غير مفيد البتة. In addition, knows that the efforts of creation is not beneficial, beneficial absolutely. Al-batta means absolutely. Absolutely. Or, yes, absolutely. Alright, al-batta means absolutely. Alright. وأن اجتهاد الخلق كلهم على خلاف المقدور غير مفيد البتة, and knows that the efforts of all the creation is not or could not take place and is not beneficial. علم حينئذ, knows at that moment. حينئذ means at that moment. حينئذ means at that moment. Alisa, this word right here, at that moment. Okay, at that moment. Knows at that moment, that Allah wahdahu, that Allah alone, wahdahu, alone, is ad-dar, is the one that allows harm. An-nafi', the one that brings benefit. Al-mu'ti is the one that gives. Al-mani' is the one that prevents or doesn't allow. The servant of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who really understands Iman bil Qadr wal Qada understands that nothing ever befalls that person, nothing befalls me of good or bad, etc. And that if all of creation got together and they did effort to do something, no matter what it is, it would never come to existence. It would never be decreed to take place. And that the efforts of these people could in fact be not even beneficial. It's at that point that the slave understands that Allah Ta'ala is the only one that allows harm to occur to me or others, or benefit, or gives or takes, etc. I'll give an example. Some of our brothers and sisters are really working hard to try to find a job. Okay? Really working hard to try to find a job. I mean, they're working hard, they're looking around, they're doing everything. Looking at Indeed, they're looking at Pay Scale, looking at all the different things to try to find a job. Nothing's taking place. They networked with people. I mean, they even made business. They could have done anything in their power. And all these different people, managers, directors, etc., said, okay, we'll look, we'll let you know, and this, that, and the third, and everything else under the sun, and no job is taking place. They got a nice resume. They followed the YouTube videos on how to write the perfect resume or CV. Right? They've gone to different job fairs. Nothing. I met 100 people in 6 months. Still nothing. That's how many of us act. I mean, many of us, we're human. When Shaitan comes to us and says, what's the point? You get the idea. But a mu'min, a believer, recognizes that, look, it's not time yet. It's not time yet. Why? Because I understand Allah Ta'ala is, in this situation, al-mu'ti wal-mani'. Allah will give me a job eventually. Right now, no job right now. Must be a reason. Not because you're a bad person. No, that's another thing too. Not because you're necessarily a bad person. Allah didn't decree for it yet. Ain't time yet. You'll get it, inshallah. You understand that? It's like, all right. Wallahi akhi or ukhti, sister talked to another sister. This brother came to my house. My parents were telling me about this brother. MashaAllah, he's a nice brother. Da 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 da. And it seemed like we're gonna be good to go get married, everything, and then I'm sorry, I can't marry you. Why? Ain't nothing wrong with me. This, that, and the third. That's what Allah wrote. That's difficult for people to swallow. It's hard for people to really swallow that, man. It's hard. But this is Allah's creation. Alright? Huwa nafi', huwa dar, huwa al-mu'ti wal-mani'. That doesn't mean we sit around and not do anything. Alright? Or just give up and throw our hands in the air. We have to do our part, obviously. But recognize that we don't know what's beyond our five senses. This goes back to what we talked about kind of yesterday, that this discussion about, qadr and qada, and, the fact that if every single 1.6 billion members of Muslims, not you, all right, 1.599999 Muslims, right, got together and harmed you or tried to attempt to give you a benefit and it didn't happen, that's what does that say? That something's beyond the actions of what? Creation. Really. And that's something that, and especially in our time period with so much of the emphasis of the physical world, all right, being levied upon us left and right, inside and out, sometimes we might get blinded or forget or lose our way in that there are things behind the actions that we just don't know about sometimes. That's really critical. And that takes straight up, thank you, Sarah, that takes straight up jihad. It does. All right? So think about it. All right? Let that be food for thought. One more thing I'll mention. This class. Some people might say, man, you know, I'm trying, man, but I can't get the Arabic down. It's okay. You keep trying. Allah gives you what He's written for you to understand. Alhamdulillah. It's all good. That's good. Because it's better than Him not giving you nothing. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? Anyway, you get the idea, inshallah. طيب. Wait a minute. No, ask.
This Ummah here is being referred to as only the 1.6 Muslims, or Ummah as in everyone on earth?
Well, I use the 1.6 billion people, all right, because during that time of the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what is the meaning of Ummah here? Does he just mean the people who said La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah? Possibly. Could it also mean Ummah in general? Possibly. So it could be everybody on the planet Earth, even the non-Muslim. Because technically they're part of the Ummah. They are, in some aspect, according to some scholars, they are considered to be the Ummah of Muhammad alayhi as-salat was-salam, in the sense that, they are people that are supposed to be given invitation and reminder of their obligations to Allah Ta'ala. Huh? So, okay, let's add them then. 7 billion people. Okay, if 7 billion, you get 6.99999, whatever, right? You understand? They all got together and said, Najee, we're gonna tear you up. For example, ain't gonna happen unless Allah allowed it to happen. You follow? Now, this is something that people find difficult. Classic example, yes, we are with you, alhamdulillah. Good. Classic example is what? Ibrahim, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Right? He understood. I asked the people, what y'all doing worshiping all these different idols here? They didn't like him. They thought, he was, he's just a young dude running his mouth and everything. They went about their business. He broke up all the idols except for the largest one. They're shocked and appalled, and they asked him, they wound up asking him, did you do that? He said, I asked them, you get the story. At the end of the day, they said, burn them. Now, from the 5 senses, we all understand that obviously, if you're going to burn somebody like that, then this should have happened. But it didn't happen. It did not happen. That's a classic example. And Allah Ta'ala wants us to, when we read these stories of the prophets, it's not just to go, wow, but for also to extract another way of understanding Him, theology, study of God, Aqidah. Okay? Right? Wherein, look, Allah said, look, you may think that the fire burns. It only burns when I allow it to burn. Right? I mean, that takes some deep reflection, man. All right, let's keep it moving. You ready, Mariam? You need a break? You sure?
فأوجب ذلك للعبد توحيد ربه عز وجل وإفراده.
Okay, hold on a second. Hold. فأوجب ذلك للعبد توحيد ربه عز وجل. First of all, أوجب يوجب إيجابا. أوجب يوجب. I'm right on the board over here. Put on the side right here. I'm going to lift it up a little bit. Look here. Jabba. Handwriting bad, man. I can't write on this thing. On my piece of paper, I'm a little different, mashallah. Yujibu. Ijaban. أوجب يوجب إيجابا refers to making something obligatory. Making something obligatory. You say, for example, أوجب الله الصلاة. Allah has made salah what? Obligatory. Okay? Alright, I'll scroll back down. فأوجب ذلك للعبد توحيد ربي عز وجل. So it becomes that. Dhalika means that. That what? Everything that was mentioned beforehand. That the slave knows that Allah Ta'ala is only the one that causes harm and benefit and gives and prevents. All of this makes obligatory to the slave Tawheed Rabbihi. Huh? Yarhamakallah. Alright? Making Allah alone, or making him one. Alright? Literally. Alright? Singling out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, basically. Azza wa Jal, the mighty and the sublime. Azza wa Jal, the mighty and the sublime. فأوجب ذلك للعبد توحيد ربه. Huh? This idea, this thinking makes obligatory upon the slave Tawheed Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Erase. Go.
وإفراده بالطاعة.
Stop. وإفراده بالطاعة. Singling him out in obedience. There you go. Next. Oh. Yes, Adam.
Ifradahu comes from the root.
Oh, I'm sorry. Jazakallah khair. طيب. We got here. Afrada. Yufridu. Huh? Ifrada. Handwriting bad, I'm sorry. No, I'm not. It is what it is. Inshallah. I tell people, and you've heard this before, sloppy handwriting is a sign of genius, mashallah. Afrada, yufridu, ifrada. The original verb is fard, like being singular, individual. Afrada is to make something singular, or to single out. Okay, to single out. Alright?
So the triliteral root is farada?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And that means you said
To single out.
to single out, and
Yes.
farada is to make single?
Well, no. Farada means to be individual.
Or to be individual?
Yes.
Okay.
So, for example, when you read the books of law and they talk about salah, they say, for example, you pray in jama'ah, congregation, or what? Fardan, individually. Alright? So, farada yafradu or yafridu refers to being individual. Being individual. Okay? It's intransitive. Then afrada makes it transitive. In other words, you need a direct object. You need a direct object. That's a grammatical point. I don't want to get too deep in that. That's Sheikh Ahmed Billu's job right there. But anyway, nevertheless, a general rule, Adam, is this. You have verbs that are originally sometimes, verbs are two types. They're either transitive or intransitive. If it's transitive, that means that it needs a direct object. If it's intransitive, doesn't need an indirect object. There are terminologies for that in Arabic. Alrighty? Now, another thing about Arabic, interestingly enough, is that, Adam, is that you may have a verb from the 3-letter or 4-letter original scale of the verb might be one or the other originally. If you add additional letters to it, it might change it being from transitive to intransitive or its opposite. So we have an example here. Farada is an example of a verb being intransitive. Then you add F, the Hamza. Now you made it from intransitive to transitive. Alright? And sometimes you may have its opposite as well. Alright? And sometimes the action, depending upon what you do, sometimes a verb, if you add additional letters, brings a reflective type of action. In other words, the doer is reflecting the action upon herself or himself. Alright? All of that you get to learn, inshallah, little by little. That's called morphology. Morphology, alright? Sarf in Arabic, huh? Alrighty. So, Afrada yufridu ifrada is to single out something. A person, a thing, or even an idea. Okay? Alrighty. Alright. وَإِفْرَادَهُ بِالطَّاعَةِ, singling out Allah Ta'ala via or by way of obedience. At-ta'a is obedience. وَحِفْظَ حُدُودِهِ, and what? Protecting, preserving his boundaries. Are you now seeing how this is going back to احفظ الله يحفظك? Alright. Hey. فإن المعبود
إنما يقصد بعبادته جلب المنافع ودفع المضار.
Very good. All right. Okay. We're now looking at the brackets here, Lisa. Right here. Al-Ma'bud is something that is worshipped. Al-Ma'bud is something that's worshipped. Al-Ma'bud is something that is what? Worshipped. Yaqsid from qasada, yaqsidu. Yaqsid is from the past tense is qasada, qasada. At least you with me.
Yes, sir.
All right. Qasada yaqsidu, the idea or the amongst the meanings of it is, of course, to intend, all right, to be an objective, That is why the linguistic meaning of hajj is al-qasd. The linguistic meaning of hajj is al-qasd. And the Sharia definition is قصد المكلف إلى بيت الله المحرم. For example, يعني the intent of the Muslim to go to Masjid al-Haram, to the sacred masjid. All right, that's the idea behind Hajj, is that you have a particular objective, you have a particular intent. I'm going there. That's the idea. Anyway, that's a benefit for those of you doing Hajj. Ain't that right? You, what's your name? Maryam, huh? Yeah, mashallah. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. SubhanAllah. You know, I used to live really close to Arafat. I was in Mecca. We used to call it Hajj. We call it Mekki Hajj or Hajj Mekki. Hajj Mekki. Basically, if we didn't go the 8th, went Yom Arafah. People in my neighborhood, and most people in Mecca actually, when they did Hajj, they would do it not the 8th day. 8th day you go to Mina. Alright? You go to Mina. Alright, it's good because you get a more complete Hajj. But if you live in Mecca, you're not where you live. Where you going into the tent city? You ain't going in there. You got your place. Yom Arafah is a different story. Yom Arafah, a different story. Your miqat is where you at in Mecca. Cool. So Yom Arafah. Then you have to make a decision. You want to go in the morning like everybody else, or you want to wait a little bit? Most people would wait until after Dhuhr, because by then everybody was already out there. All right. Put your stuff on. Take a whistle. Smell good and everything. Walk out the house. Labbaik Allahumma Hajj. Go out there. Sometimes you walk, get on a scooter, hitchhike. You do something, right? And at that time it was good because the security forces, you talking about millions of people. Until they have 1 million security officers to kind of stop the wave, if you will, you find them doing the vast majority of their hard work more so in the morning time to try to make sure traffic is okay and whatever the case may be. They try. It's still cuckoo there, all right, to get in there, all right. But after Dhuhr, they tired. It's hot out there. All right, they're like, just go. Go, just go. No problem. Just go there. Alhamdulillah, go to Arafah anywhere. Pick a spot, bang. Take some fruit, take some water. If you got to eat, maybe a little bit of rice and chicken, whatever you want to do, sit there, just do you. It's better get a tent because that sun be beaming on you. It don't matter, winter, spring, summer, fall, it don't matter, it be hot. For some reason, it could be winter time, it's hot. Sit there, and you just do you. Read the Quran, dhikr, big dua, etc. Then sunset, you go to Muzdalifah and you finish the rest of your Hajj. Alhamdulillah. I miss that. So I do it almost every year. Almost every year, yes. Almost every year, yeah. Yep, subhanAllah. Yeah. So it would be very strange for me if I went with a Hajj group and I'm in the tent, because I know how to get around Mecca. But anyway, subhanAllah. That's off the topic a little bit, but it's a little bit about me. Anyway, going back to the sentence at hand. فَإِنَّ الْمَعْبُودَ إِنَّمَا يَقْصِدُ بِعِبَادَتِهِ جَلْبَ الْمَنَافِعِ وَدَفْعَ الْمَضَارِ. طيب. The one or the thing that's being worshipped, the objective of worshipping that, right? فَإِنَّمَا يَقْصِدُ بِعِبَادَتِهِ. The objective of worshipping the ma'bud is what? جَلْبَ الْمَنَافِعِ. جَلْبَ الْمَنَافِعِ means to bring about benefit. جَلْبَ الْمَنَافِعِ means to bring about benefit. جَلْبَ الْمَنَافِعِ is to bring about benefit. دَفْعَ الْمَضَارِ. What do you think that means? Yes, to repel or remove hardship. Very good. So jalb al-manafi', opposite is daf' al-madar. Very good. Once again, فَإِنَّ الْمَعْبُودِ إِنَّمَا يَقْصِدُ بِعِبَادَتِهِ جَلْبَ الْمَنَافِعِ وَدَفْعَ الْمَضَارِ. طيب. The objective of anything that's worshipped, by worshipping that thing that you're worshipping, is to bring about benefit and to repel harm. So, explaining up to this particular sentence, let me say this to you. we're looking at this particular piece of advice that the Prophet ﷺ is given to Ibn Abbas, okay? And we said that this piece of advice that the Rasul is given to Ibn Abbas is based upon a principle of ihfadillah yahfadka. And that we said that the slave of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala understands, or when that person understands that nothing will befall them except for what Allah has decreed with respect to good, bad, etc., etc., and that the efforts of all the creation doesn't take place, of course, or was not decreed, and that is of no benefit unless Allah decrees it, recognizes and knows at that moment that Allah is the only one that brings about harm, benefit, etc., etc. It's at that point where the slave, it's obligatory upon the slave, once understanding that, acknowledges that there's nothing worthy of worship except for Allah, and that obedience is only to Him, and hifdha hududihi is a way of showing and preserving his boundaries. Preserving his boundaries is a way of showing this tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jalla, right? Why is that? Because by doing this idea of tawheed and singling out Allah Ta'ala via actions of obedience and protecting His boundaries, the concept of that which is being worshipped is to bring about benefit and repel harm. That's a spiritual thing, first of all. طيب. Y'all with me? Adam, you with me? Lisa, you with me?
Yes.
Beautiful. Hi, Maryam. ولهذا
ولهذا ذم الله من يعبد من لا ينفع ولا يضر ولا يغني عن عباده.
لا عن عابده. That's صحيح. عن عابده. أيوة. Trust me. Inshallah. ولا يغني عن عابده شيئا. No, thank you. Okay. ولهذا means, and because of this, now, before I go any further, what is this? Yani this, the word this, hada is this. Hada, كأس, this is a, hada qalam, this is a pen, etc., right? ولهذا, therefore, or because of this, because of the fact that the concept of worshiping whatever you're worshiping is to bring about benefit and repelling harm. Them Allah. Them means to criticize. Them means to criticize. Them means to criticize. The verb, for vocabulary purposes, you say dhamma yadhummu. ذم يذم. ذم يذم. ذما. When a person does them of somebody else, it means you're criticizing that person. You're criticizing that person or that action. The opposite is madaha yamdahu. The opposite is to praise. That's a ha. Madaha yamdahu. Alright? The not equal means opposite. Can you say that, Maryam? Can you see that? Can you see that?
I'm just wondering, isn't ذم يذم باب التفعيل? So shouldn't it be ذميم? تذميم?
You can say the meme, sure. The meme, you can say the meme. I think that's mentioned in the Quran. The meme is what? It's a ism fa'il. The person is being, either the person is being criticized or is a criticizer. All right, one of the two. But anyway, the meme is a word derived from dhamma. Yes, to answer your question, absolutely.
But the masdar is dhamma, not تذميم.
Them. Them yadum. Dhamma yadummu. Hadda yahuddu. Radda yaruddu. Hajja yahujju. واضح شيخة? Clear? Alhamdulillah. طيب. Because of this, let's go back down here. And because of this, ذم الله. Allah criticizes. So them is a transitive verb. It needs a مفعول به, direct object. Okay? ذم الله من يعبد. Allah Ta'ala criticizes a person who worships something or someone لا ينفع, that doesn't benefit that person, ولا يضر, and doesn't harm that person. ولهذا ذم الله من يعبد, and because of this, Allah criticizes a person or people who worship what? That which does not benefit that person nor harms that person. وَلَا يُغْنِي عَنْ عَابِدِهِ شَيْئًا, and is of no need of that thing. Okay, Lisa, right here. وَلَا يُغْنِي عَنْ عَابِدِهِ شَيْئًا, and is of no need of worshiping that thing. وَلَا يُغْنِي عَنْ is of no need. لَا يُغْنِي عَنْ is of no need. Okay, no need. Is no need of worshiping that thing whatsoever.
Abid, isn't it fa'il?
Abid is the one that's worshiping. Maryam, speak.
So it means that Allah is not in need of.
La. Allah is criticizing everything after that. Allah is criticizing, number one, a person that worships something or someone that doesn't benefit nor does harm. In addition, وَلَا يُغْنِي عَنْ عَابِدِهِ شَيْئًا, and the one that's doing the worship is in no need of that thing. Okay? And the one doing that worshiping, the abid, like we're abid, right? That person is in no need of that thing that doesn't benefit no harm.
So the abid is in no need of the ma'bud.
Huh? Again,
the abid is in no need of the ma'bud.
Exactly. Exactly. Very good. Ahsanti. Very good. MashaAllah. Don't we find it in the Quran everywhere? Practically every single surah we find Allah Ta'ala criticizing people, that especially in the Meccan surahs, we find Allah Ta'ala criticizing these people, right? Criticizing them for either saying Allah has a son, or that Allah has daughters, or that Allah Ta'ala, doesn't cause resurrection, this is just only one life, etc., etc., etc. طيب. You with me? Lisa, you with me? Alhamdulillah. Alright, let's keep it moving. Hey, Maryam.
فمن يعلم أنه لا ينفع ولا يضر ولا يعطي ولا يمنع غير الله.
أيوة. What?
أوجب له ذلك إفراده بالخوف والرجاء والمحبة والسؤال والتضرع والدعاء
Continue.
وتقديم طاعته على طاعة الخلق جميعا.
Stop. Very good. All right, let's go back here. Very good. Go back here. Bring this up. I'm going to erase this right here. So whoever knows, فَمَن يَعْلَمْ, so whoever knows that thing لا ينفع, doesn't benefit, ولا يضر, doesn't harm, ولا يعطي, it doesn't give, ولا يمنع, and doesn't prevent, غير الله, except for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If a person knows this, a person knows that whatever that thing that's being worshipped doesn't benefit, doesn't give benefit, doesn't give harm, doesn't give, doesn't prevent, except for Allah Ta'ala, because there are different ma'budat, there are different things that are being worshipped. Allah is one of them, and other things as well. We all know this, طيب. If a person knows that, ya Najib, what happens? Awjaba, what? We said awjaba means what?
Becomes mandatory.
It becomes mandatory, obligatory. ذلك إفراده بالخوف. Khawf means fear. والرجاء means hope. Lisa? With me, Lisa? Lisa, you with me? Al-khawf is fear. Al-raja, hope. Al-mahabba, what does that mean? Love. Was-su'al, generally means what? Asking. What tadarru' is making a plea, pleading, making a plea, as if you're begging. What du'a? Supplication. Ya Najib, you with me? طيب. So when a person knows that thing that's being viewed as the point of worship does not give benefit, doesn't cause harm, doesn't give, doesn't prevent, except for one ma'bud, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's mandatory at that point that that person singles out Allah Azza wa Jal. Ifradahu, singles out Allah Azza wa Jal by fearing Him, by having hope in Him, by loving Him, asking Him, pleading to Him, and making dua to Him. Y'all getting all this, man? That's the fruit of qadr and qada. So somebody asks you, so what's the benefit of al-iman bil-qadr wal-qada? You tell them all this right here. You break it down to them. Alright? You see? It's another example of how theology in 2019 can be taught. Alright? It's by looking at these ahadith, and specifically those ahadith that explicitly talk about something about iman. Alrighty? Anyway, وَتَقْدِيمِ طَاعَتِهِ, here we right here now. وَتَقْدِيمِ طَاعَتِهِ عَلَى طَاعَةِ الْخَلْقِ جَمِيعًا. The last thing is تقديم طاعة الله على طاعة الخلق. In other words, let's see, taqdeem refers to, we're going to say here, refers to Yes.
Precedes? Precedes?
It can be precede, but no, we don't mean that here. It means here preference. Right? Here it means preference. Giving preference to obeying Allah over obeying what? Creation. All of creation. Alright? تقديم طاعته على طاعة الخلق جميعا. Alright? Not only is the ifrad of Allah Azza wa Jal by way of fearing Him, by way of hoping for Him, by way of loving Him, by way of asking Him, by way of pleading to Him, by way of making dua to Him, but also, what I say? Giving preference of obeying Him over obeying all of creation. طيب. With me. Lisa, you with me? Alhamdulillah. طيب. ها. وأن يتقي.
وأن يتقي سخطه ولو كان فيه سخط الخلق جميعا.
Stop right there. السخط means anger. سخط means anger. Anger. Allah. وأن يتقي سخطه, and being aware of his anger. Being aware of his anger. And being aware of his anger. Even ولو كان فيه سخط الخلق جميعا. Even if all of creation is angry with you. Even if all of creation is angry with you, you're more aware of the anger of Allah over the anger of other people. And in other words, you do stuff for Allah Azza wa Jal. You don't do it for somebody else. You're not here to please people. You're here to please Allah Azza wa Jal. Now before, yes.
I wanted to ask specifically about...
I'm sweating, so I need to stop for a little while.
So Allah's anger, how we would properly express that. Is that fear of both anger in this world and the next, for not obeying His commands?
Yes.
How would his anger look in this world?
There are different ways of seeing the manifestation of Allah's anger. One of the more prevalent ways of seeing Allah's anger, and Allah knows best, is when you or a community or a group of people are seemingly in a place of humiliation. Once again, how do I know possibly, I'm not saying definitively, possibly that that we see the anger of Allah Azza wa Jal on a person or people is when a person or people are in a state of subjugation and humiliation. It's possible. That seems to be one of the more prevalent ways of understanding or knowing. Another possibility is that that people, the creation, wherever you're around, they don't respect you. Alright? Like really don't respect you. Possibly. I said possibly. So possibly. It could be they don't respect you because of something silly. Alright? But it could be something really legitimate why they don't respect you. Maybe you're unethical. Alright? They can't stand being around you. I mean, when they hear your name, their chest gets real tight. They just cringe. Maybe because you've done something to anger Allah Azza wa Jalla. Maybe. Now, if it's because you stand up for the truth, because you are speaking the truth and you don't really care about people criticizing you, then that's on them. You're not angering Allah Azza wa Jalla. In fact, you're pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Understand that? So, for those of us out here who are curious or interested in da'wah or teaching or khutbah or even our own family members, the principle should be to always be aware that we try to do things to please Allah, not anger Him. So if that means that you have to tell your family members, for example, or other people, that's not right, that's haram, that's incorrect, or anything of that nature, and people just don't like it, know that you are on the truth, inshallah. Even if you're alone. Even if you're what? Alone. I'll call your attention to Ibrahim again, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Alright? What Allah Ta'ala described him as ummah. He was his own ummah. He angered everybody in his town or whatever you call it. That civilization was mad at him, man. They couldn't stand him. Breaking up all our idols and everything. Allah was pleased with him. And we all see we all see the results of that, subhanAllah, right? Right? I mean, that's a classic example. Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the same way. Angered people. Because he just said, look, wahidullah. Make Allah Ta'ala do tawheed of Allah Azza wa Jal. Not Lat wal Uzza and these other things, what have you. In our day and age, we don't have these idols, if you will. But we have ideologies. And it goes back to what I mentioned yesterday. The concept of making the physical world your way of understanding reality alone is wrong. You know why I say that? Because if you say the physical world is what you determine what is truth and false, that means that you can't see certain things, including Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which means that by logical conclusion, Allah don't exist. Because you use the physical world as how you determine what's reality and what's truth and what's falsehood. That's why. You need to change that, brother or sister. Or the idea of saying that Allah Ta'ala is a she, for example, we should not be afraid to tell people that's kufr, disbelief. Astaghfirullah, I'm a Muslim. What you said, I ain't call you a kafir. I said what you did was disbelief. Why? Because you are denying what Allah says. Huwa. It says huwa. And on top of that, why are you even giving an agenda to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Whether you male or female. Where does that come from? Tell me, where does that come from? That comes from the fruit of accepting the enlightenment thinking. That's why. That's why I mentioned this yesterday. All right. To criticize Muslims who support people that support open actions that are against the ethical system of Allah Ta'ala clearly, to criticize them and not worry about, inshallah, the ramifications of that because you're trying to please Allah Azza wa Jal, that's a good thing. To be silent and not say nothing at all, well, this opens the door for possible subjugation to his anger. That's the reality. Now, before I go any further, I see your hand. Before I go any further, do not misunderstand me. Everybody has different ways of delivering this information and these type of things, what have you. There's a time and place for everything. But I want to call your attention to something. That there's a misunderstanding. There has to be, people think that when you are engaging people with these different discussions, automatically people think that you have to be kind and gentle, etc., etc. And there's a time and place for that. That's true. But there are times where you cannot do that. You have to, you have to come strong. There are times you have to come strong. But you have to, of course, that requires a feel for people, if you will, and that takes, that takes experience and what have you. But there are times and places where you cannot honestly be gentle in what you're trying to present. But sometimes you have to be firm and say, this is how it is. Because Allah Ta'ala mentioned that the Quran is a maw'idah. And we hear the ayah, وَجَادِلْهُمْ بِالَّتِي هِيَ أَحْسَنَ or وَالْمَوْعِظَةِ الْحَسَنَةِ, right? A good maw'idah, a good admonition. Well, maw'idah in the general sense, the admonition means to what? Means to admonish someone. All right? Sometimes it's gentler, sometimes it's harsher. Depends on the person, depends on the circumstance, depends upon the severity of the harm that's going on. Okay? So just make sure you get that, alright? You understand that? I saw your hand, Maryam, yes?
So, Sheikh, going back to Allah's anger and its manifestation, a lot of times we hear that natural disasters is the way we understand that Allah is angry with us. Is there any truth to that?
I cannot decisively say that's true. Rather, what we find is that natural disasters and the like are a way of Allah Ta'ala reminding us of the need to remember, children of Adam, that you are weak and that you are in need of something greater than you. I can say that. I cannot say that an earthquake, may Allah protect us, a mudslide, torrential rain, etc., is because of Allah's anger. I can't make that statement. And I don't find, honestly, I would say that the proofs in the Quran and Sunnah don't seem to really indicate that. I haven't come across a hadith particularly, because ayat, I don't recall that anywhere, but a hadith that specifically say when this happens it's because of Allah Ta'ala's anger. I don't find a sentence explicitly saying that anywhere. So I don't say someone is wrong. I would say, in my personal opinion, I find it to be very, very debatable.
But we are told to make maghfirah and istighfar when
Sure.
things
I mean, for example, when we don't have rain in Mecca, I'll give an example. I see your hand, brother. In Mecca, for the past maybe 8-9 years prior to me coming back over here in the belly of the beast, we used to pray al-istisqa, right? The prayer of asking Allah for rain. Okay? Because of the fact that, we needed water. We needed the ground and the vegetation, animals, it was pretty bad. It's not really good, very hot, etc. Not getting that rain, is it because Allah Ta'ala is angry with us? Not necessarily, but it's a sign that, look, you need to plead to Allah Azza wa Jal. You need to sort of look at yourselves and ask yourself, perhaps, maybe our collective actions, perhaps, I said, not definitively, perhaps our collective actions are at a state we're not getting this good and blessings that we could get from Allah Ta'ala. Okay?
It's more like withholding of blessings than actual
Yes.
punishment.
I saw your hand. Yes.
Well, 2 questions. Now that you brought that story up, did the rain end up coming?
Initially, no. Rain did start to come, mashallah. A couple of times it did rain. In fact, a couple of times I recall, maybe like a day or 2 later, we get like this really torrential rainstorms. SubhanAllah. It was a lot of, went from getting no rain to like, yo, it's flooding out the streets.
You guys did that like collectively as a community or a small group of people?
Yeah, in my neighborhood, where I lived, we had a musalla. Musalla is an open place where you pray, right? So right down the street from where I lived, we would the neighbors would go down there, and right after maybe 15-20 minutes after sunrise, we go down there and we pray Salat al-Istisqa. We hear a khutbah, an admonition, and we prayed, of course, and we make dua, ask Allah to bring down the rain. So sometimes we got answered, alhamdulillah. Sometimes we get drops. Sometimes we got a torrential rainstorm. Sometimes we got nothing. Okay. What's your second question?
The second was regarding what she was saying about being tested with a calamity if it's a punishment. Mike, correct me if my understanding is wrong, but my understanding is if you are tested with a calamity, it's either a test for you so that Allah can elevate you, or it may be a calamity. Whether you're saying to decisively indicate which one it is, that's my understanding. It's either a test to elevate your maqam, or it's a calamity because it may be a sin you did, or whatever it may have been.
Of course, and I mean it's. I think you and I are consistent in what we're saying, inshallah, which is to say that of course, when no matter what the situation is, it could be that you need to do some spiritual soul searching. But you know what? The spiritual soul searching can be of different things. It could be that maybe I need to get right with Allah Ta'ala because you live in foul, as people would say. Or it could simply mean that, I'm being tested right now and, Allah Ta'ala is testing my patience. Maybe I am doing the best I can, all right? But perhaps Allah Ta'ala is testing me to see, these actions of ibadah that you're doing. Are you sincere in what you're doing? Because sometimes people do stuff just to be doing it. And maybe Allah Ta'ala tests that person, right? As a way of making sure that what you're doing is sincere for Him. Alright, so it could be all these different things. But to simply say, and this is my point, to simply say, I'm being tested because of I'm a bad person, that's not necessarily true. Why are you doing that to yourself? Alright? I mean, Allah Ta'ala, listen, and Allah Ta'ala gives these calamities as well because He loves you. He ain't doing it because He hates you. You don't even know if He hates you or not. How do you know that? How do you know that if you don't know that? Alright? But you have an opportunity to earn His love. You follow? So maybe you're praying the 5 salawat. Okay, alhamdulillah, I'm praying them, alright? Allah still tests you. Dad, man, I'm doing my prayer right, but man, you ain't praying the nawafil. Okay, pray the nawafil, brother, sister. Do that, for example. Man, I ain't got no money, man. Well, do you give charity? You give sadaqah? Nah, really. Well, give some sadaqah, dude. You follow what I'm trying to tell you? It don't mean that Allah hates you per se. The reason why I keep emphasizing that is because we have Muslims that think that when I go through bad things, Allah hate me. Yahi, what is this, man? Yahi, what is this? This is a poor thought about Allah Azza wa Jal. That's terrible that you think like that, man. Where you get that from, man? La!
Isn't the hadith, if you can relate to us, the hadith about the affair of Muslims is always good, or like a mu'min?
Exactly. Matter of fact, one of your classmates used that as part of her homework assignment, mashallah. Yeah, the affairs of a Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ was amazed. He said, I'm amazed at the affair of the Muslim, right? And he mentioned what? He mentioned that, Sister Sarah, I think she's the one that brought the hadith. When the Muslim is afflicted with something, they praise Allah, they thank Allah Azza wa Jal, they're patient with Allah Azza wa Jal. One or two things, either they're patient or they thank Allah Azza wa Jal. What? They thank Allah? How you thank Allah when you're going through something? Because maybe the person realizing that Allah is reminding me to what? Get it together. Or, thank you Allah for testing me so I can elevate, so with your help, I can elevate myself to a high level, come closer to you. What? Come on, man. How you talking about Allah hate you? Come on, man.
And sometimes they're just a reminder that we are taking things for granted.
That's possible. There are many ways of looking at it and not just locking into one way. That's the point I really want to emphasize. Don't lock into one way because you are eliminating things that you just don't know. Alright? Anything else? No? Alhamdulillah, it's good. Talking it through helps us all. Huh? Alright, let's keep it moving. Huh? Next one, yeah, Maryam. وإفراده All right, stop. Very good. All right. In addition, all right. وإفراده, huh? We said what? Singling out Allah Azza wa Jal بالاستعانة. We said إذا استعنت فاستعن بالله. What's al-isti'ana? What that mean?
Seeking help.
Seeking help. Very good. Right? singling out Allah Azza wa Jal, singling him out by asking for his help. وَالسُّؤَالِ لَهُ, and asking him. وَإِخْلَاصِ الدُّعَاء, and being sincere. Ikhlas means what? Sincerity. Sincere dua to him في حال الشدة وحال الرخاء. Alright? Sincere dua to him during the during the bad times and the good times. Y'all understanding now the fruit of al-iman bil-qadr al-qada, khayrihi wa sharri?
Qadr and qada, the two words, what are the translations?
Ooh. Well, what is it? Fate and destiny, possibly. Hey, Polly, Munir, Sarah, what do you think that the translation of Qadr al-Qada means? Huh? Yes.
Somewhere I remember reading that somebody explained that Qadr is the written destiny and Qada is Allah's will of applying that.
Possibly. Sure. Yeah. Possibly. So Qadr al-Qada, fate and destiny, fate and destiny, and what takes place from that. So, going back to the first sentence, أوجب له ذلك إفراده, unto the end of that. In addition, the slave singles out Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by seeking his help, by asking him, by sincerely making supplication to him during the bad and good times. بخلاف
بخلاف ما كان المشركون عليه من إخلاص الدعاء له عند الشدائد ونسيانه في الرخاء.
All right. بخلاف, unlike. بخلاف means unlike. Unlike ما كان المشركون عليه. Unlike how the mushrikun, the polytheists were. Unlike how the polytheists were. Question: how were the polytheists with respect to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We know that they worshipped, we know that polytheists worship, at least what the Quran mentioned, that polytheists used to pray, used to make dua, etc., 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 to things that had no benefit, no harm, didn't give, and didn't prevent, etc. But what else did they used to do?
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the example that when they're in the sea and then the ship is about to drown, they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and they make dua to Allah with ikhlas. But then when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala delivers them back to the shore, they forget.
Exactly. And this is what this sentence says. Very good. This is what this sentence says. بخلاف ما كان المشركون عليه من إخلاص الدعاء له عند الشدائد. Alright? Unlike the polytheists and what they used to be like, wherein they would sincerely make dua to Allah عند الشدائد, only during hard times. وَنِسْيَانِهِ فِي الرَّخَاءِ, and forgetting about him. Nisyan is forgetting. Nisyan is forgetting. And forgetting him during the good times. You see, Lisa, that's why it's important for us to read the Quran. One of the things that, the idea, yes, Allah tests those He loves. Sahih. That's so true. You see, we forget one of the objectives of Allah Ta'ala mentioning about what the polytheists did. See, during the time of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Allah would call out the polytheists. This is what y'all be doing. One of the things y'all be doing is that you make dua to me, right? During the hard times. You on your ship, you in the desert, this, that, and the third, and you forget all about me when I help you out. When things get good for you. Now we look at that sometimes. Some of us may look at it, but yeah, man, look at how them polytheists are. Look how they were. Right, look at how some of these people are today. Right? Look at the Americans and how they are today. They do the same thing. They go to God when things are rough, and then they forget about it when things are rough. Don't we have Muslims like that too? Yup. We got Muslims like that too. Matter of fact, some of us may have been doing that. A'udhu billah. So it's a reminder as well that, okay, well, I don't want to be like that. Right? Remember, all this goes back to ta'arraf. This part right here. Ta'arraf ilallahi what? Fi ar-rakha ya'rifka fi shidda. Know Allah during the good times. He'll know you during the hard times. Yes.
Is the flip side applicable here as well? Like in Surah Al-Fajr, فَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانُ إِذَا مَا ابْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ فَأَكْرَمَهُ وَنَعَمَهُ فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي أَكْرَمَنِ. Then the flip side, إِذَا مَا ابْتَلَاهُ فَقَدَرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقَهُ فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي أَهَانَنِ.
Yes. Very good. We can also say, that's very good. So Brother Najee made a nice point. He said, look, in Surah Al-Fajr, we find another aspect of how people are with respect to Allah Azza wa Jal when their iman or their conviction with respect to Allah, their relationship with Allah Azza wa Jal. You got some people act like this. Allah Ta'ala give them riches, prosperity, honor, and they say, God is good. Basically, God is great. God loves me. God is honoring me. Then Allah Ta'ala puts that person into a hard situation, restricts their provision. And then they say, God don't love me. Alright?
Well, people of Harf, right? There's another.
Huh?
People of Harf.
People of?
Harf. There's.
وَمِنَ النَّاسِ مَن يَعْبُدُ اللَّهَ عَلَى حَرْفٍ. Yes, there are some people who worship Allah like they're on a ledge. Like they're on a ledge. Surah Ankabut, the 29th surah. They're on a ledge. When good befalls them, they're calm and cool and everything. And then when they're hit with a fitna, they act like, everything world's flipped upside down. So anyway, the point being is that when we see these ayat and read them and everything, yes, we look at the reality. Allah wants to look at the reality of people because it's still the same. But also, you reading me, you read. I'm talking to you too. I ain't just talking about them. I'm talking to you too. That's the idea about reading the Quran. Is you having a conversation with Allah Azza wa Jalla. All right, طيب, ممتاز. طيب, بخلاف ما كان المشركون عليه من إخلاص الدعاء له عند الشدائد ونسيانه في الرخاء. What else? What's the next sentence, يا مريم? والدعاء قال
الله عز وجل قل أفرأيتم ما تدعون من دون الله إن أرادني الله بضر هل هن كاشفات ضره أو أرادني برحمة هل هن ممسكات رحمته قل حسبي الله عليه يتوكل المتوكلون.
Very good, mashallah. In addition, the mushrikun, the polytheists, used to make dua وَالدُّعَاءِ مَنْ يَرْجُونَ نَفْعَهُ مِنْ دُونِهِ. They used to make dua to things that they hoped would grant them benefit other than Allah. Yarjuna is what? From raja, to hope for. Right? Right? They used to make dua to things or to people, hoping that benefit would come from them other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Then after that Allah Ta'ala says such and such. That's in Surah Az-Zumar, ayah number 38. Adam, in my classes, make sure you bring either Mus'haf or translation of Quran, okay? Alright. Az-Zumar, ayah number 38. Ya Maryam, Surah number 39. Ayah number 38. Surah 39. Ayah 38. Qul afara'aytum. You know where it is? Say, O Muhammad.
38. It says, and truly if you are to ask them who created the heavens and the earth, surely they would say Allah. Say, do you see then the things that you invoke besides Allah? If Allah gives me some penalty, can they remove his penalty?
Mm.
If he gives some mercy for me, can they keep back his mercy from me?
Allah.
Say, sufficient is Allah for me, in Him trust those who put their trust.
Aywa. Alrighty. The ayah is very clear. Allah, the Prophet ﷺ is being commanded by Allah to say all of this. All right. You know, if Allah were to bring about harm, do you have the ability to prevent that harm? And it's opposite. If Allah wants to bring mercy upon me, whatever that might be, do you have the ability to stop that? No. That's the idea. قُلْ حَسْبِيَ اللَّهِ. Allah is enough for me. See that? That's the ifrad Allah. Again, alright? I'm only singling out Allah Azza wa Jalla. Allah is enough for me. عَلَيْهِ يَتَوَكَّلُ الْمُتَوَكِّلُونَ. And this ayah is very important because it shows us as well that with respect to al-iman bil-qadr wal-qada is at-tawakkul. Trust and reliance upon Allah Azza wa Jalla alone. As part of the fruit of this as well. This whole wasiyah, or this piece of advice that the Prophet ﷺ gave to Ibn Abbas, we see the benefit in this particular portion, the benefit of belief in, or rather the sixth pillar of Iman, which is al-Iman bil qadr wal qada, and how it's linked to La ilaha illallah. Alrighty? How it's linked to what? La ilaha illallah. Alrighty? I'm done for today. Does anyone have any questions, comments, concerns, muffins, anything? Yes.
So we're looking at this hadith. Could we?
We're not done yet, by the way. We still got 3 more things to go through. Yes.
Especially with what's coming next. I might be jumping the gun a little bit. But when people say the problem of evil, this could be a direct response to that.
Sure.
Especially with what's coming.
Why do you say that?
So first, you have to have the basis that Allah is the one who like writes everything. Okay, with this qadr and qada, Allah has written everything, and He's the executor. Yes, He's gonna push everything forward.
I like that. He's the executor. I like that. MashaAllah. That's nice. MashaAllah.
And at the end, حسبي الله عليه توكل المتوكلون. You put your trust in Allah. And when you have your trust in Allah, and He is the only one that you rely on, He is enough for you, and you understand that whatever good, forgetting the word that's mentioned here, or shar or evil, that you know that Allah is taking care of it, and like basically it's on you to going back to the beginning, ihfadillah
Yahfadka.
yahfadka.
Yeah, you know, part is ihfadha. Thank you. Very good. I ain't got nothing to say about that, but I will add ihfadillah yahfadka as well. Part of that hifz of Allah Azza wa Jal is this: whenever things do befall you or me, part of the hifz of Allah Azza wa Jal is not questioning why you do that, Allah. Why me, Allah? All right. You're now going against hifdullah. You're not doing hifdullah right now. Alright? What you're doing is you're doing hifdul shaitan. Okay? Which is to say that, as Najib mentioned, that, you know, when these things befall us, it requires, and we're going to, I may be getting ahead of myself a little bit, which requires some patience as well. So this piece of advice brings about everything we talked about, including a tawakkul and also a sabr, patience, right? And not questioning what Allah is doing, but rather asking, what's the wisdom behind what I'm going through right now? Must be something. Must be something, or some things. And that's really difficult sometimes for some of us to go through, especially when you feel like, you know, you're being kicked. Alright, you know, subhanAllah, you know, you get up, alhamdulillah, you know, you're going through some things, and then you feel like, bang, something else happens. Like, really? Something else? Like, you know? But, you know, it takes someone to be more cognizant of her or his relationship with Allah Ta'ala to see, okay, there gotta be something, there must be something behind or beyond this that I'm not aware of. Okay, that takes some effort. All right, I don't have anything else. طيب, I'm done. Alhamdulillah. Do you have anything? No? Something? No? Okay. Well, thank you for your time. Appreciate the time. Next, we'll be talking about the next thing, which is رفعت الأقلام وجفت الصحف. That's tomorrow. We're gonna finish this hadith tomorrow, inshallah. We're gonna finish this tomorrow, inshallah. واعلم أن النصر مع الصبر وأن الفرج مع الكرب وَأَنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. We got 4 things to talk about. 4 sentences. Inshallah. We're going to finish this, inshallah. Alright? Then we can move on. And if we don't move on, if this is enough, if Allah has written for us to only go to this, طيب. That's from His hikmah. جزاكم الله خيرا. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Thank you, Sheikh, for your thank you, Sheikh, for your question about Qadr al-Qada. You're welcome. I had the same understanding as the sister in class. That one is what is written. The other is Allah's execution of what of that written will. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, yes. True. So, Sister Polly, I can't say that it's incorrect. I can't say that whatsoever. I think that is a valid way of looking at this. So I'm not going to say it's wrong. I think it's a valid way of looking at it, inshallah ta'ala. I hope that you will, alhamdulillah. Good for now, alhamdulillah, mashallah. Allah gave you understanding, man. Mashallah, it's a good thing. طيب. I just want to make sure here. Let's see here. The Sheikh Adam is here today, and Maryam, Lisa, Najib, 4 people, right? Polly, Sister Polly. Sister Polly is here. Sister Sarah Bakr is here. Brother Munir is here. طيب, ممتاز. Alhamdulillah. All right, let me get on out of here. Oh, Sarah bin Doogie. Oh, my bad, Sister Sarah. My bad. Sister Sarah, mashallah. The 2 Sarahs. Sarah Ula wa Sarah Thania. Allahu Akbar. All right, let me get on out of here and get on upstairs, inshallah. I will see you tomorrow, inshallah. Make sure y'all review. Make sure you read. Make sure you get, go back over the stuff there. Do the best you can to memorize.
I did check. First part, the Tirmidhi. Got it.
طيب.
Inshallah, 2 days more, and then I'll do the rest.
Inshallah. I got faith in y'all. Assalamu alaikum.
So we were year 1 last year, and there was year 2 covered, and they called year 18. Right now we're summer year 1 and 2 mix, but going into next year we're going to be combined. So year 2 is going to go to again, year 1 is going to go to yeah, makes sense. So there was year 1, which was me and Mario, and
She was a couple of lesson.
Yeah, you're part of year 1, and then there's year 2 people like Mindy, who's not here right now, and some other people.
Okay, so you guys concluded year 1
We concluded year 1. We didn't do this in year 1. This was year 2 book.
of that day, and you went up to Hadith 18.
I believe so. Yeah.
Year 2. Okay.
And then in the summer, we were combined, and we continued where they left off. It was
Okay.
Hadith 19. Going into next year, I'm not sure if we're going to start again from the book or continue to the end. I'm not sure if he has planned yet. That's
So you guys just left off where they left off.
yeah, we picked up where they left. In Qasas though, we're picking up where we left off. Once we finish the story of Yusuf, alayhi salam, I'm not sure if we're going to go to where they left off, which
So
is
you're when you guys started from the beginning.
from Ibrahim, alayhi salam, now Yusuf, and we're almost done. Next, I think, is the story of Noah, alayhi salam. And then I believe they were at Musa, alayhi salam. So I'm not sure after this if we're going where they left off or where we did.
Yeah.
Where is everybody?
Lisa's here and Najeeb's here.
Okay, so we do have some people, other than you people. I think the Sheikh left his charger. Jazakallah khairan. Thank you, sir.
Sheikh, I was gonna ask you, so I downloaded Al-Ma'ani, it's a paid app, it's $1.99, it's English Arabic.
I use the website. The website is free.
Oh, okay.
I don't do apps, so
You don't?
no.
No. Anyways, I wanted to know, like, for example, the Arabic dictionary that you use, how much more in depth does it get as far as, like, if you look up a definition, like, if you were to...
So the one that I use two. I have Al-Misbah Al-Munir, which is similar to Ma'ani. In fact, Ma'ani will give you some from Al-Misbah Al-Munir because Ma'ani has multiple lexicons in it. So it has contemporary ones, and it will quote them. It will quote to you whatever they're you know. So it has contemporary lexicons, and then the biggest one it has is Lisan al-Arab, which is the biggest Arabic lexicon, and that's usually in the very end. Huh?
Lisan al-Arab?
Yeah.
Oh.
But that's in Arabi. Like, I don't know if you have the Arabi Mu'jam here.
No, I didn't get the Arabic. For example, I put the, like...
Yeah, so that's very basic. That's just English translation. I don't usually look at that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So this is not giving you hardly anything.
Well, it is as long as you know the context, like how is it being used here. But you have to know where is it being used.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So then the other one I use is Mufradat Alfaz al-Quran for Raghib al-Asfahani. So I'll give you a reference for that. Furqan.co. So like whenever I read, you guys can actually open the same page, but it's in a soft copy.
So what's the primary difference you said between those two dictionaries?
So the Mufradat Alfaz al-Quran is any word that appears in the Quran. Other lexicons are just everything in Arabic. But also the fact that it's every word that appears in the Quran and every context that it appears in the Quran. Because a word in the Quran, like earlier in the other class we were doing the word haqq, and all the different times haqq appears. There's like 5 different meanings to haqq. And also we'll just think haqq means true or reality or something. But there is more than that.
So it gives you all the context in which it's used.
Yes, and it gives you the reference, every ayah where it's used
That's
as well.
by what scholar you said this one?
Al-Raghib al-Asfahani. Al-Raghib al-Asfahani. So Furqan.co. So F-U-R. Yeah, Al-Bahith al-Qurani. This is it.
So it's all Arabic though?
Yeah, this is all Arabic.
Oh, okay.
So it actually gives you all the tafasir here. All the you know how you asked about tafasir yesterday?
Yeah.
All the tafasir are here.
Really?
Yeah.
So how does this differ from the book? It's just on the online.
It's online, and then also you just like look up one ayah at a time. So when you go to the search engine here, you're looking up one ayah. Right?
Okay.
So these are the main primary tafasir.
Which one?
These. It has Tabari, Ibn Kathir, Qurtubi, and Baghawi. Then it says Al-Amma, which is like simple ones. And then Mu'asira, which are contemporary ones. Then you got encyclopedic tafasir. Then a tafsir that has like, it combines multiple statements. Then selections of tafsir. This one focuses on lugha and balagha, so language.
So which one can I use to just find the words that you said? Which one by
Raghib al-Asfahani. We're gonna do this. Furqan.co. Slash Mufradat. Then you're gonna put dash Raghib. Then another slash. Check this out. No, didn't do it. Okay, so let's put a word.
And in this dictionary, you said it's called what kind of tafsir? What kind of tafsir is
It's
it?
not a tafsir. This is definitions of the words.
Oh, definitions of the words.
Yeah, so it's ma'ani al-alfaz al-Quran.
Ma'ani al-fadha.
Okay, so I wanna go to this and not open it. How can we do that?
Did you want to copy it or something?
Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Let's copy it. Okay. Paste. Okay. And then let's say, what word do you want in the Quran? Give me a word that you want.
Haq.
Haq. So that's what we just looked up in the other class. Bismillah. I don't know why it's not opening.
It's not.
No. Yeah. So, but this is the website.
But even if I don't do what you're doing on the search bar, could I find it like going through here maybe? Would I be able to find it here, or you? The only way you would be able
I
to...
didn't see it here. That's why.
Oh,
I'm
really?
not seeing it here.
That's interesting. Okay, I'll be able to probably find it out.
Yeah, I'm not seeing it. That's the only issue.
Maybe I could type his name on the search bar in Arabic.
Allah al-Asmani, maybe. Oh, that's tafsir. So let's go to ulum or to ma'ajim. Maybe that's the reason. See, this opened up the tafsir section. So there's other
I
sections,
see.
but I don't know why it's not opening. So
Okay, got it.
طيب بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. So we got to the next chapter, right? Maryam,
Sorry, sir.
did we read it? Or we just got to it?
No, we didn't read it. يعقوب عند يوسف.
Yeah. So let's read, please.
I found it. Mufradat al-Fadl.
Perfect,
It
okay.
was under Ma'ajim.
Okay, good. That's what it is. So ma'ajim are lexicons. That's what ma'ajim means.
Oh, that's what.
It's the plural of mu'jam.
Oh.
So whenever I define words from the Quran, I go back to that.
That one.
Yeah.
And how many words do they say are in the Quran? Different words.
I don't know, but look, the book is pretty big. Thick book. This is it. This is the book.
It's only one volume, right?
It's one volume, but I don't know if it has a number. It doesn't have number of words, but
Okay. Okay, and the other book that you use is 3 volumes, right? The one that you're asking.
That's tafsir, yeah.
That's tafsir.
that's صفوة التفاسير. Okay. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. اقرأي يا مريم.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. قال المؤلف رحمه الله: يعقوب عند يوسف فلما سار الرجال بقميص يوسف إلى كنعان
إلى
أحس يعقوب رائحة يوسف فقال إني لأجد ريح يوسف قالوا تالله إنك لفي ضلالك القديم ولكن كان يعقوب صادقا فلما أن جاء البشير ألقاه على وجهه فارتد بصيرا قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين قال سوف أستغفر لكم ربي إنه هو الغفور الرحيم ولما وصل يعقوب إلى مصر.
What page are you guys on?
63.
You have the same print?
It's just a couple pages off.
Okay, you have the older one? Okay.
Yeah, check it.
ولما وصل
يعقوب إلى مصر استقبله يوسف ولا تسأل عن فرحهما وسرورهما وكان يوما مشهودا في مصر وكان يوما مباركا ورفع يوسف أبويه على العرش ووقعوا كلهم سجدا ليوسف وقال يوسف هذا تأويل
وقال يوسف فاعل.
وقال يوسف
You have a فتحة?
No.
Okay.
هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لساجدين وحمد يوسف الله حمدا طيبا كثيرا وشكر يوسف على ذلك شكرا عظيما وبقي يعقوب وآل يعقوب في مصر زمانا طويلا
زمنا not زمانا زمنا.
طويلا ومات يعقوب وزوجه في مصر.
Okay. نجيب.
يعقوب عند يوسف ولما سار الرجال بقميص يوسف إلى كنعان أحس يعقوب رائحة يوسف فقال إني لأجد ريح يوسف قالوا تالله إنك لفي ضلالك القديم ولكن كان يعقوب صادقا فلما أن جاء البشير ألقاه على وجهه فارتد بصيرا قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين قال سوف أستغفر لكم ربي إنه هو الغفور الرحيم ولما وصل يعقوب إلى مصر استقبله يوسف ولا تسأل عن فرحهما وسرورهما وكان يوما مشهودا في مصر وكان يوما مباركا ورفع يوسف أبويه على العرش ووقعوا كلهم سجدا ليوسف وقال يوسف هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لساجدين وحمد يوسف الله حمدا طيبا كثيرا وشكر يوسف على ذلك شكرا عظيما وبقي يعقوب وآل يعقوب في مصر زمنا طويلا ومات يعقوب وزوجه في مصر.
آدم.
يعقوب عند يوسف ولما سار الرجال بقميص يوسف إلى كنعان أحس يعقوب رائحة يوسف وقال إني لأجد ريح يوسف قالوا تالله إنك لفي ضلالك القديم ولكن كان يعقوب صادقا فلما أن جاء البشير ألقاه على وجهه فارتد بصيرا قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون قالوا يا أبانا استغفر لنا ذنوبنا إنا كنا خاطئين قال سوف أستغفر لكم ربي إنه هو الغفور الرحيم ولما وصل يعقوب إلى مصر استقبله يوسف ولا تسأل عن فرحهما وسرورهما وكان يوما مشهودا في مصر وكان يوما مباركا ورفع يوسف أبويه على العرش ووقعوا كلهم سجدا ليوسف وقال يوسف هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا إني رأيت 11 كوكبا والشمس والقمر رأيتهم لي ساجدين وحمد يوسف الله حمدا طيبا كثيرا وشكر يوسف على ذلك شكرا عظيما وبقي يعقوب وآل يعقوب في مصر زمنا طويلا ومات يعقوب وزوجه في مصر.
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. يعقوب عند يوسف. What does that mean?
Oh, grammar. I mentioned something with grammar.
Jacob is with Yusuf.
Jacob is with Joseph, yeah. So finally, basically, they reunite and they are together.
So just to clarify, the only time you use the other lexicon, the mufradat, is if you stumble upon an ayah and you want to know the proper context of when you approach an ayah, or if you just curious.
Whenever I want to see any word in the Quran,
Okay.
I don't rely on my own understanding of the word.
No, I mean, for example, like if we're reading qasas, right, and then
Yes.
sometimes they give an ayah. Would you only use the lexicon when you read an ayah, or even?
So specifically with the ayat, because we don't want to say anything about the Quran simply because I know Arabic, and I'm like, let me translate this ayah. No, because the Quran doesn't work like that. The words you know in Arabic may not actually be equivalent to what you know in the Quran.
Yeah, so if I'm not reading an ayah and I just want to know the meaning of the word, I wouldn't use the mufradat, I would just use the other lexicon.
You can use the mufradat if it's a Quranic word, even if it's not an ayah.
Well, even if it's not an ayah, I see.
Well, because, so like, Ya'qub, that's not from an ayah, but that's a Quranic word.
Yeah. There's so many resources.
Yeah. طيب. So let's translate. I'll read to you the tafsir here, the equivalent ayat of this section. So this section starts the same with the same word. In the Quran it says وَلَمَّا فَصَلَتِ الْعِيرُ. Here it says وَلَمَّا سَارَ الرِّجَالُ. فَصَلَتِ الْعِيرُ means once the caravan took off. Right? So here he says لَمَّا سَارَ الرِّجَالُ. Once the men started traveling. Remember we had the word Sarah? When did we cover Sarah and its different meanings? Who remembers? Sayr, Sira, Siwar. We watched a short video about it. That was Ramadan. First week of Ramadan. Remember the guy, the bald guy?
The Arabic, it was completely.
It was in Arabic, yes.
Yeah.
And where does it come from? Comes from tying something,
That is,
right?
Something like that.
So how does Sar have to do with traveling? Because you tie your camels, the saddle on the camel before you take off. Okay. وَلَمَّا سَارَ الرِّجَالُ بِقَمِيصِ يُوسُفَ. With the qamis. What I'm wearing today is called qamis in Arabic. This is a qamis. So it must have sleeves and it should cover the whole body. Of course, what do people call this today? Thobe. Thobe in Arabic means fabric. No one wears a thobe actually because it just means like a piece of fabric. It's like a curtain. طيب. لما سار الرجال بقميص يوسف إلى كنعان. إلى is in the direction of Canaan. So they're leaving Egypt to go to Canaan. And that's why in the tafsir it says خرجت منطلقة من مصر إلى الشام. This caravan takes off from Egypt to Sham. Canaan is Sham. أحس يعقوب رائحة يوسف. أحس. What's أحس?
Sense.
To sense. Good. So Jacob sensed the smell of Joseph. You're like, wow, he must have had a great sense of smell. Again, that could be a miracle here, because prophets have miracles. قال أبوهم إني لأجد ريح يوسف. قال يعقوب لمن حضر من قرابته إني لأشم رائحة يوسف. He tells the relatives that were there before the caravan reached, I can sense the smell of Joseph. So like the body odor of Joseph. And they tell you something about memory. The sense of smell is stitched into your memory box. So sometimes you may walk into a place and smell something, you're like, where have I smelled that before? And it takes you back maybe 20 years. Why? It's very powerful. It's intertwined with your memory. So this weekend we were at a brother's house, and I told them, so somebody started sharing perfume, and I said, man, I wish I can get that perfume that I had in this occasion. And then like the very first one he offered was that. I said, this is it. So طيب قال ابن عباس. So this is a quote that we have by Ibn Abbas. هاجت ريح فحملت ريح قميص يوسف وبينهما مسيرة 8 ليال. It says a wind blew and it carried the smell of Joseph from the shirt that he gave, or from the thobe, the tunic that he gave, the qamis, although the distance is 8 days. So the smell traveled ahead through a wind. Again, that would be a miracle if that did take place. Right? What did they respond? قالوا تالله إنك لفي ضلالك القديم. قال حفدته ومن عنده. His grandchildren and whoever is there from the relatives, so not his sons, because his sons are all gone. والله إنك لفي خطأ وذهاب عن طريق الصواب قديم. You're off. You're like, this is really off. Like, you've said some weird things before. This one, how can you smell Joseph? It's due to your severe love, because that's what memory is connected with love as well. So like pleasant memories, you can almost smell it. So I don't know if I shared with you guys in the training that we had, one of the days was mindfulness, and the guys like, do this exercise. Just he tries to get you calm, and then he says, think about something or someone you're grateful for. Okay? Then he says, think about a particular event where you were with them. And then he's telling you to bring to your memory all the details. How did it feel? What was the temperature like? What was the light like? What was the smell like? Okay, so you're actually re-experiencing this whole thing. And then he says, okay, hold that thought for 20 seconds. So you hold the thought for 20 seconds. And he says, open your eyes, and everybody's smiling. Because basically it took you back to that memory. I don't know if I shared this with you guys. Did we share the video on this? So it says that the human, maybe I shared it with you, Lisa. The human has, like our brains supposedly have negativity biases, where we only remember bad things. So now in order for you to balance this negativity bias, you want to recap positive memories, and it will make you feel better. I'll share it, inshallah. Sarah will send it to you guys. So brain bias, I think that's what the title is. Yeah. They shared this video as a reference speaking about our brain's negative bias. Check it out and share if you find benefit in it. So I'm going to send it to you guys through your list.
So, qadim in this ayah you said means what again?
في ضلالك القديم you're back to your old ways. So Qadim is old because he's been dying over his son for all these years, right? It's like someone right now is reminiscing something that happened maybe, I don't know, let's say someone is like madly in love and they remember their loved one who died like 50 years ago. It's like, can you get over it already? This is so old. Of course, you can't get over it. عن طريق الصواب بإفراطك في محبة يوسف ولهجك بذكره. You constantly mention him ورجائك للقائه. You're hoping to meet with him. قال المفسرون وإنما قالوا ذلك لاعتقادهم أن يوسف قد مات. Why would they say this? Because other than Jacob, everyone around him thinks Joseph is dead. So they've given up hope. He still has hope in God's grace. He knows Joseph is not dead. Right? But this is the weird thing, is when you're so certain of something and everybody else is not, they think you're crazy. It's like, no, I really know this. I was like, no, we don't believe you. That's what you guys tell me whenever I say something in class. The looks on your eyes are like, you're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about. But I seen it, right? I experienced it. And that typically happens. Whenever older people talk, younger people think they're crazy. This is like human nature. But just believe them. They've seen things you have not seen. It's like, but that's crazy. Yes, it's crazy, but it's real. طيب. So قالوا تالله إنك لفي ضلالك القديم ولكن كان يعقوب صادقا. So this is like a response to this false claim that they attributed to Yaqub. Because they said dalal. So dalal is like you're not on the right path. You're being misled. You're emotionally blinded. You're blinded through your emotions. So the author says, وَلَكِنْ كَانَ يَعْقُوبُ صَادِقًا. However, Jacob was actually right. He spoke the truth. He didn't make this up. It wasn't his emotional bias. And then he quotes the Quran. فَلَمَّا أَنْ جَاءَ الْبَشِيرُ أَلْقَاهُ عَلَى وَجْهِهِ فَارْتَدَّ بَصِيرًا قال ألم أقل لكم إني أعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون. And the reason why I'm not translating the words only, we're reading the tafsir, is for this very same thing. Now, sometimes what we would do is just translate the ayah. So look up each word in Arabic and translate. But if you don't go back to the tafsir, you're going to misunderstand the Quran that way. So that's why I say don't rely on your own Arabic translation. Rather, go back to the tafsir, see what the scholar said, and then translate the tafsir. فلما أن جاء البشير. When جاء البشير المبشر جاء المبشر بالخبر السار. So al-Bashir is the person that brings you good news. So basically one of the people in the caravan had like gotten ahead of everybody else. Whether out of excitement or maybe that was his task, that was his job. So he goes all the way there. And he's carrying the tunic. Now there's something that's mentioned here which is very interesting. It says actually, so Judah was not the one that stayed back. Judah here is the one that appears here according to this quote. It says he was the one that brought to the father the bloodied tunic when Joseph was a child. So he says, I want to make up for that by bringing this tunic to bring pleasure to my father, just like I broke his heart before.
Judah is released now, right? Because the story is out.
Judah is what?
He's released from the crime and he didn't stay.
Possibly, yes. If it was Judah earlier. If it was Judah earlier, yes. But again, the quote here, which is very interesting, it says, أَفْرَحْتُهُ كَمَا أَحْزَنْتُهُ أُفْرِحُهُ كَمَا أَحْزَنْتُهُ. I'll bring him pleasure just like I made him sad. And this is good, by the way, in our relationships. Sometimes we make other people sad. So it's good to bring them pleasure. Make up for it, right? Like this is the best apology. You apologize and you make up for it, but don't repeat it. Because because some people, I know some people, mashallah, their personality is like they always get you mad and then they make it up to you by doing something good. You get over that. You start being sick of those people. So don't do that so often because then you will be abusing it. And that's typical for narcissists. So like they'll beat you up and then they'll come give you a hug. It's like, what are you doing? Right? Or they say nice things like, they curse you out and then they say, I love you. It's like, you didn't love me when you just called me a bad name. We had this training this last week in marital counseling, and they showed us a dialogue between spouses in front of a counselor, and the exercise is to train you to be attentive listeners, and for the other side to be assertive in stating what they want. So they asked the man, tell us something you wish you would do. So he says, I wish I can come home and we could be more physically intimate, me and my wife. So he stated what he wants, but then he decided to add spice to it. He says, because right now I feel like I'm not wanted, and like she's not really that nice. He didn't have to say any of that, right? So like, you're adding insult to injury. It's like, just state what you want, forget everything else. So she was like so embarrassed, like you can see her facial expressions. He just broke her heart. And so then the counselor is like, okay, I want you to repeat what he said. What is it that he wishes for? And she's like, he wants to be more physically intimate. But like, you can see that like the life was like taken out of her just because it was uneasy. So yeah, he says, "Ufrihuhu kama ahzantuhu." So just like you make someone sad, make sure that you make them happy. ألقاه على وجهه طرح البشير القميص على وجه يعقوب. He placed the shirt on Yaqub's face. فارتد بصيرا. This is a very powerful word. ارتد means he apostated. Come back. Exactly. So radda is to return to something. Why do we use the word for returning for apostasy? To return to kufr after you were a Muslim. That's where ridda comes from. So ridda is when somebody leaves Islam. They're called a murtad. So if you want to say fulanun irtadda, someone apostated. But also, if I take an object and I throw it at the wall, and then when it comes back it bounces off, I would say irtadda min al-jidari. Here, irtadda basiran. He went back to his original state of being not blind, seeing. عاد بصيرا لما حدث له من السرور والانتعاش. What caused him to come back to seeing? Happiness and joy. Just like crying and sadness breaks your heart and may turn you blind, happiness and joy does what? Like when you're happy, you like forget you're in pain, right? Like I was in so much pain after surgery, I was crying. And then when I saw my teacher, I got so happy I forgot. Like I wanted to get up and I was completely crippled, you know? So that's what happens when you're happy. It causes you to physically feel better. So may Allah help us with that. Then he says to them, قَالَ أَلَمْ أَقُلْ لَكُمْ إِنِّي أَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. Jacob says to his sons, did I not inform you that I know what you know not of the life of Joseph, meaning that Joseph is alive, and that God will bring him to me in order for the vision to be fulfilled. So what is Jacob relying upon? The very beginning of the story, there was a dream. Joseph says this is going to happen, and what did Jacob tell him? This is a prophecy from God. You will have a great status, right? سَيَكُونُ لَكَ شَأْنٌ هَذِهِ بِشَارَةٌ بِعِلْمٍ وَنُبُوَّةٍ. That's from like our first chapter. This is glad tiding of knowledge, meaning knowledge of God and prophethood. And سَيَكُونُ لَكَ شَأْنٌ, you will have great status. Has he had great status yet? No. Not fully. The full status is when they all bow down. When they all show respect. When he brings them to Egypt and the whole world sees his status. And they who hated him early on also recognize his status. You know, like Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the greatest in Mecca while he was persecuted. But when did his greatness manifest? When his own people submitted willingly. That's why Fath Mecca is called Fath Mecca. Although Islam from day one, we already knew he's the truth, bringing the truth, he's the messenger of God. But when did that manifest itself? when he comes back as a conqueror to Mecca, and Mecca now submits to Allah. Right? قال المفسرون, the scholars of tafsir, ذكرهم بقوله إنما أشكو بثي وحزني إلى الله وأعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون. He reminded them of his statement earlier that I only share my pain with my Lord and I know of God what you don't know. Right? So that's why he said the same word. أعلم من الله ما لا تعلمون. He said this before. Remember yesterday when we said shakwa, what's shakwa? Remind me of shakwa. Use a teaching tool. What's shakwa? What did we say shakwa was?
Disclosing what is.
Show me through your cup. Yes, exactly. So getting your feelings out of the vessel of your body and sharing it with others. So you have pain, show your pain. That's shakwa. You're complaining, show it, showcase it. وروي أنه سأل البشير كيف يوسف. There's a narration, so this will possibly be like from biblical sources, that he asked whoever came to him with the good news, he's like, how is Joseph? فقال هو ملك مصر. He says he's the king of Egypt. قال ما أصنع بالملك. So look at Jacob, he said, what am I going to do with him being king? That is not something that I'm going to celebrate. That's the prophets of God. Kingdom is nothing. That's not what worries me. He's asking how is his faith. And when you become king, you lose faith. So the point here is what? How is his state? He's like, على أي دين تركته. What religion did you see him in? That's his concern. قال على دين الإسلام. He says, I saw him as a Muslim. قال الآن تمت النعمة. He says, now I am satisfied that we have complete grace from our Lord. So what does a father or a parent, what should they worry about? Oh, your daughter became a doctor. Okay, no. What was her religion? Oh, she's atheist now. You gonna celebrate that? Celebrate people's submission to Allah and being connected to God Almighty, right? Of course, materialism teaches you otherwise. So, but this is so powerful here, subhanAllah, and that showcases you what the concerns of the messengers of God was. Their concern was, okay, I just need to know what his relationship with God is. You told me he rules the world, but what does that really matter? Will you have salvation with that? You won't have salvation. It's like you come to God and you say, hey, by the way, God, I ruled the United States, the greatest country in the world, for 4 years. It's like, what is that going to help you with? Nothing. You got to come to God with a proper relationship with him to attain salvation. Okay, what do they tell him? So again, like he's teaching them a lesson. أَعْلَمُ مِنَ اللَّهِ مَا لَا تَعْلَمُونَ. I am certain of certain things with God that you are not aware of. Why? Because he's a prophet, and prophets know more about God than anyone else. That's why we have to be careful when we talk about the prophets of God. Don't ever disrespect them. Why? Because their relationship with God is beyond anything you can imagine. The things Allah showed them from the ghaib, they saw heaven and hell before anyone else will see it. They see things. That's why the Prophet ﷺ, he told the people around him, if you knew what I know, you would laugh less and cry more. Why? Because they saw reality. Like for the messengers of God, they already got exposed to things beyond our imagination. So like they saw devils. If you were to see a devil, you'd probably die. You freak out. Because it's a very challenging experience. But they got to see them, interact with them, preach to them, teach them. Prophet ﷺ choked the devil one time in the masjid. He choked him and tied him to a pillar. And he says, if it wasn't for the prayer of my brother Solomon, I would have showed the children of Medina to come and beat you up. But Solomon says, هَبْ لِي مُلْكًا لَا يَنْبَغِي لِأَحَدٍ مِنْ بَعْدِي. Grant me dominion that is not happening to anyone after me. And Solomon specifically had access to the jinn. Okay, so they said, قَالُوا يَا أَبَانَ اسْتَغْفِرْ لَنَا ذُنُوبَنَا. So now they beg their father. They say, oh our father, استغفر لنا ذنوبنا. Remember just earlier they said إنك لفي ضلالك القديم. You're still going crazy, you old crazy old man. Yesterday what did we say? تفتأ تذكر يوسف حتى تكون حرضا أو تكون من الهالكين. You continue mentioning Joseph, you're gonna kill yourself, right? You're obsessed with him. Now when truth and reality hits, they're like, please ask God to forgive us. This is like so typical for children. After they mess up, they come back to mommy. Please, please seek forgiveness for us. استغفر لنا ذنوبنا. طلب أبناؤه أن يستغفر لهم لما فرط منهم ثم اعترفوا بخطئهم. So they said the children asked their father to seek forgiveness for them because of their actions. Then they admitted to their mistakes. And that's what we said. Whenever you make a mistake, the best thing to do is own up. Stop rationalizing. Just say, I made a mistake. To Allah, that's what matters. Why are they asking their father to seek forgiveness for them? Because the father is a prophet. And one of the things that we can do is ask the righteous to pray for us. Because they do have a connection with Allah. That doesn't mean we rely on their prayers only and like, oh, I just asked the righteous to pray for me. No, are you praying? No. Then it's not going to work. You got to pray and ask the righteous to pray for you. You got to do both. You can't just rely on somebody else's efforts. You had your hand up.
Yeah, Sheikh, does the tafsir explain why the word sofa is used here and not just simple sa?
Yeah, I'm going to read it to you. I'm going to read to you why. Inna kunna khati'in, we were mistaken, we had committed a crime in what we did to Joseph. So now it turns full circle. So they apologized to Joseph. Remember that? Now they're asking their father to seek forgiveness for them, and they're apologizing to their father. Because they've never apologized to the dad for what they did to Joseph. All these years, what are they saying? The wolf ate him. This is the first time they just come up clean. Right? So, and there's nothing wrong with that. It doesn't matter how long it takes, as long as you eventually repent. Just repent. Make sure you don't check out of this world before repenting. And once you repent, don't turn back. Like they didn't dwell over this. Oh my God, how did we do this to Joseph? It's over. Doesn't matter how big the crime is. Once you repent, you turn the page and don't turn back. And one of the greatest tricks of the devil is to keep you looking back. Oh, but I did this back in the day. Well, why are you revisiting that? Don't revisit that stuff. Wa alaikum assalam. Yes. I got somebody here. I'm giving salam. Yes.
Okay. So when it comes, there's a belief that if someone does a sin and then they repent, they don't turn back on it. But in the future, if they call that out, like if the sons of Yaqub alayhi salam were to say, like in the future, that someone does this, say a similar incident, this means to their brother and kills them or throws them or something, and they call that out, it's like that's like a bad action, you shouldn't do that, it's terrible.
Yeah.
And then like, this is what you guys did. Is that should they be wary of calling that out in the future?
No.
Or?
They should never be wary of calling out injustice, calling out falsehood. Even if you're smoking weed, you should call out smoking weed. Even if you're currently smoking weed. This concept of saying this is hypocrisy is not from Islam. Does God hate it or not? When you call something out that God hates, that is a tool for you to actually get rid of your own problems. Because you're doing the command of God. So when someone is committing a crime, let's say I have a drinking problem. I'm committing this crime. Okay? But then I see someone else drinking. And I tell him, look, God does not love this. So this other person's like, you drunkard, why are you telling me this? And I'm like, I confess that I have a problem. I have a problem with this thing. But just because I have a problem does not mean I'm going to allow you to do this if I have the ability not to allow you to do it. You see? Because then I would be committing another crime. I'll be committing the crime of being drunk myself, and I'm committing the crime of allowing you to do something that is sinful. by virtue of you censoring and forbidding that crime, God may treat your illness and get rid of it for you. That's the benefit of calling to what is good and forbidding what is evil. But what do people tell you right now? Oh, if you're committing a sin, don't talk about people who are doing it. What does that mean? It means we stop the command of God which says clean up society. And let's say I do have this drinking problem, but I do it in private. No one sees. It's between me and God because I'm addicted, let's say. But you're doing it out in public and causing public harm. That's a worse crime. They're not the same. So you know when people tell you, hey, everybody has sins. Yes, but there is a big difference between someone who has a private sin in the privacy of their own home that they don't share with anyone and they recognize their weakness and they cry to God, God forgive me, and someone who's publicly sinning, showcasing. Hey everybody, pride parade. Let me tell you what I do. Sleep with the right people, right? See the difference between the two? Someone may actually be someone who has same-sex attraction. They have a partner. They may even be seeing prostitutes, but they're ashamed of it. They are repenting for it, and they're trying to get rid of that problem, right? Whereas the other person is like showcasing and openly waging war against God. Don't say those two people are the same. That's not from Islam. They're not the same. The one who's shy of God and is like, no, I'm not going to do something in public because that's just unheard of. That's unacceptable. And the one who's publicizing their sin, they're not the same. Okay, inna kunna khati'in. What does he tell them? So look at Joseph again, Jacob alayhi salam. So this is where we learn from the prophets again. Like every part of this is huge lessons. And this whole chapter, by the way, if you notice, is like old quotes from the Quran. Like there isn't much that the author is saying. قَالَ سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ رَبِّي. Did he say, you guys are so bad? Did he shame them? Did he guilt trip them? That's it. The lesson was learned. You know, that's key for us. It's like once someone learns their lesson, like don't beat them. Don't rub it all over their face. That's it. What's the point of saying, I told you so? That's gratification for our own ego. Like I'll come back to you and tell, oh yeah, you didn't listen to me and that's why that happened to you. No. Are you happy they're over the problem? Yes. Turn the page as well and don't revisit it. Just don't revisit it. سوف أستغفر لكم ربي. So he promises them that he will seek forgiveness for them. The scholars of tafsir say أخر ذلك إلى السحر ليكون أقرب إلى الإجابة. He delayed seeking istighfar until nighttime, the last portion of the night, the last third of the night, because that's when istighfar is more likely to be accepted. Okay? So you asked about why did he say sawfa, and sawfa has to do with the future. Like why didn't he just do it right now? Right? So that's what some of the scholars said. وقيل, there's another statement that says أخرهم إلى يوم الجمعة ليتحرى ساعة الإجابة. He delayed them to the Friday, because Friday is the most special day, with that specific hour on Friday where dua is accepted. Right? So like you want to make a big dua, you want to ensure that it's the best time. That's why Laylatul Qadr should be reserved for like the biggest dua, right? Hajj, the day of Arafah, those special days, you make special dua. You should make dua all the time. Like he could have said, oh Allah forgive them, but he wanted to ensure that the offering is made at the best possible time. Another quote says,
I have a question. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. In the ayah we just went over, it says قَالَ سَوْفَ أَسْتَغْفِرُ لَكُمْ رَبِّي.
yeah,
So that's Prophet Yaqub speaking to his sons, right?
yeah.
How come it says Rabbi and not like Rabbukum? Why is that?
Because it's more personal. It's more personal. And the messengers always talked about Rabbi. Like Musa alayhi salam says, Innahu Rabbi.
So he's basically telling his sons, my Lord will forgive you? Is that?
No, I will ask forgiveness for you from my Lord.
Oh, I see. Okay. Oh, I see.
Another scholar says something interesting about the word sofa, and I don't know, maybe you've covered this before and that's why you're asking about it.
The Da'if and Qadi?
No. So he says this actually gives us something. So he's quoting Sayyid Qutb rahimahullah. He says وحكاية عبارته بكلمة سوف لا تخلو من إشارة إلى قلب إنساني مكلوم فإنه يعدهم بالاستغفار بعد أن يصفو ويسكن ويستريح. He says there is somewhat of a hint here that this is a human heart. Jacob, although is a messenger of God, he's a human, and that he's heartbroken. So he promised them that he will seek forgiveness for them after he has tranquility, after he calms down. Like, just imagine his state right now. Like, years have passed, right? Right now, he definitely is re-triggered. Definitely, he's like, you can say the adrenaline is rushing. So he says, I'll postpone a bit until I'm calming down, right? Because that's also human. And the messengers were human. So, like, we don't eliminate the fact that he's a human being. He's still a human. He has human emotions. So that's something somebody may read into that. It's not specific. But again, we all kind of experience this. So one example is, let's say I'm like, you see me very angry or something. And you tell me something. And I tell you, can we please revisit this again? But you know me, you know that I love you, you know that I have empathy, but right now is not the time. But when the time comes, I'll be all yours, right? So that's the idea here, is he's telling them, just give me some time. Like, I need to recuperate, is that the word? After this was heavy stuff. طيب. إنه هو الغفور الرحيم, and then he mentions these two beautiful names of Allah. Al-Ghafur al-Rahim, the one who is constantly forgiving and the one who's most gracious. And we covered the meaning of istighfar before, right? You guys remember all the meanings of istighfar? Cover is one meaning, yes. What else?
Cover from the punishment.
Cover from the consequence. What else? The helmet is called maghfar. What does the helmet do? Protection from harm. Erase the sin. Conceal the sin so it's not exposed. Help me not to return to the sin. طيب. Then he says, وَلَمَّا وَصَلَ يَعْقُوبُ إِلَى مِصْرَ. So now all of a sudden, like, there's... Yeah, so look what he says here. إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. And this is why it's nice to go back to the tafsir. أي الساتر للذنوب الرحيم بالعباد. God is the one who conceals sins. So we're not going to publicize your mistake. Because Allah doesn't appreciate publication of sin. That's why immorality in society is a sickness. We are not happy with it. We like sins to be, if you must sin, do it privately. Don't do it in front of others. I told you guys the story of that sister that came from Saudi. I think I did in your class. So her husband recuperate. Yes. I got a correction to my messed up English. So a sister, she's Yemeni and she's a scholar. She's a scholar. You can say a scholar. Her husband is a white brother who's also a scholar. So they were here for vacation and they were at the beach. And there was a woman who was like either dressed inappropriately or like making out with her boyfriend or something. So then the sister, I don't know her name. The brother's name is Umar. He's my colleague. So he's telling me the story. He's like, man, my wife is crazy. I said, why is she crazy? He's like, we went for vacation. And so he comes from a non-Muslim background, So again, a lot of us become desensitized with sin. That's why don't be upset with people who are so righteous that they can't tolerate sin. Those are good people. They're not bad people. Like, if I'm desensitized, don't say, oh, my sheikh, though, my teacher, he allows stuff like that to happen. That means I'm desensitized. Righteous people shake when they hear of sins. They don't have to see them. They just like shake. They get sick, physically sick. So she tells her husband, she's like, Umar, go tell them they can't do that. He's like, what are you talking about? This is America. It's a free country. She's like, they can't do this in public. They need to find a private place to do it in. He's like, I'm not going to tell him. She's like, if you don't tell him, I'll tell him. So she covers her face. She's like completely covered. He's like, I don't know what he did, but I think she has a stronger personality than him anyway. So she goes and she gave them a lecture. I mean, just imagine this. This is so unheard of. Right? It's like, mind your business. Get away from here. She's like, and they had some shame and they left. They stopped what they were doing. Because when you command the good with a good intention, Allah will support you. Just like the prophets. Right? It's like, but what is this going to do? They're still going to do it in the privacy. They won't do it in public. God won't be blasphemed and will not be disrespected in public. That's the point. This earth is God's property. It's not ours. So don't say, oh, it's a free country. People can do whatever they want to do. No, it's not. It's God's country. God owns this existence. So if you have the ability to stop immorality and sin, even by your words, do it. Like, what is it going to hurt you? Let's say they tell you, go, they curse you out. Okay, at least you did your job. But what happens when we're desensitized and we just like, oh, just let them be? What happens when other people are seeing this? So let's say you have young people and they see that it doesn't affect you because you're desensitized. They think that's normal behavior. What are they going to do? Like sometimes when we're driving, I point out bad things to my children. I tell them, this is satanic. Right? Because I don't know what they're looking at and what they're not looking at. But if they're looking at it and they're silent, where is it happening? It's being registered right here. Right? So we have to speak. We have to communicate. This is not something that is pleasing to God. Now it surrounds us. It's all around us. So we have to do a lot of work. Yes, Adam.
That's a very, I don't know, like it can be a very contentious subject, like forbidding good and enjoining good and forbidding evil.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, mashallah, she has a strong personality, and some people.
And strong iman too. It's not just strong personality.
Yeah, strong iman, that's a big one. And some, like you're saying, sometimes the sincerity of a person just penetrates
the heart. Yes,
yeah,
because they're connected to Allah. Yes.
That's exactly. So I would never deny that, and I know. But is there also like a hikmah, like you're saying, like you can point it out to your kids, but you just know like that's not meant for you, so you just like.
Yeah, everybody knows their own abilities. Definitely. Everybody knows their own ability, but we're talking about the prophetic model. So the prophets will not stand idle. That's what I'm saying. And if anyone is going to claim that the prophets stand idle with filth, they don't know who the prophets are.
Because there was one principle one of the shield gave, and I couldn't agree with more, but like it depends on the circumstance. They say connect before you correct, and so you can't, like with certain people, maybe it's a close enough.
It's not about correction there though. You're not correcting necessarily. What are you doing? You're preventing. You see? Like, you know how law enforcement is? A cop sees someone breaking the law. Do you expect him to connect before he correct?
No.
Like he goes, hey buddy, you shouldn't be doing that heroin right there.
Yeah.
Yes, but this person may be armed and dangerous. What is he going to do? He's going to stop him. He's going to make sure he takes the needle away. He may arrest him, run his record, do certain things. There is protocol. So it depends. Every circumstance and condition has a specific way to deal with it. But now you may have a long-term project for someone. You're planning to revisit this topic later on. But I'm talking right there and then. What is your effort? So you have multiple things. You can either remain there. If you want to remain there, you're witnessing falsehood. We're not allowed to witness falsehood. You can leave. You leave because you can't witness falsehood. That's easier. Or you stop the falsehood. You don't want to stop the falsehood? No problem. Leave. But people want to have their cake and eat it. So like, no, I'll let them be. And I also want to enjoy the scenery. That's the issue here, But yes, definitely, like there is an aspect of trying to help people out and trying to bring them and meeting them where they're at.
Yeah,
but when someone is in the midst of a problem, you're not going to connect with someone who's drinking because they've lost their mind. Yesterday, I was with my brother, And he told me, like, we went to somebody, we were trying to help out, and my brother smelled weed. And I can kind of sense it too. So he's like, you know, the guy's smoking right now. I said, yeah, it's legal, isn't it? He's like, yeah, the people in the complex have been complaining about this guy. So then he told him something else. He told him another complaint. So he parked his like car outside of the garage in this complex. And my brother's like, we got a complaint that you're parking outside of the garage. So the brother is black. So he's like, man, that's BS. And he says the actual word. I don't say it. Then he says, just because I'm black. If I was white, I can park in front of the garage. And then my brother's like, okay, I don't need your help anymore. Like, we had to bring something inside the place. So I step out. And I'm thinking, I'm like, I hope he doesn't tell him about his weed issue. Because the guy right now is under the influence. He's already upset. You don't want to talk to someone like that because you will bring a bigger harm on yourself. Right? You don't want to mess around with people like that. So I sent my brother a message. I was driving. I'm like, don't talk to him about his weed. He's under the influence. Talk to, you know, his wife. So his wife is like the tenant of that particular property. So I said, talk to the tenant. I don't know if he ended up addressing it with him or not. But that's the thing. Don't be reckless. So you have to find out, is this a situation appropriate to address or not?
I guess what I was trying to get at is like, I understand, like they say this, I forget, it's from one of the hadith that says it's better to prevent a harm than do a good. Like,
لا ضرر ولا ضرار. It says there should be no reciprocation of harm or no harm brought about. But like I said, what is harmful of telling someone, you know, we have children here, maybe you guys can find a private area. Like, I don't have to be rude. And I don't have to say, like, you look like a prostitute. I don't have to say that. But I can even use nice words and kind words to say that maybe this is not appropriate. You know, have you considered that there's other people? And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'll actually tell you, this happened last week. So I was going to a doctor's appointment. And my wife is with me. So my wife is in the passenger seat. And I think our windows are like tinted or something. So you can't see who's inside the car. So I go out. And then this older woman is parked on the opposite side, and she looks at me and she's like, that's a beautiful beard. And I've heard that before, so I'm like, but this lady was like animated. And I'm like, well, thank you. And then my wife comes out. So she sees my wife, she's like, oh, I'm sorry. It's like she felt that she was hitting on me by saying that compliment. Although I wouldn't consider it hitting on me. The lady is like really old. Like, not like, look, to me, like 50, 55, 60. She looked like she's over 70. But she still had the sense of, oh, maybe this is not appropriate because his wife is with him, so I shouldn't even compliment him. Where do you think that comes from? That's internalized because that's how she was raised. She was raised back in the day where you don't compliment a man like that. That's not your husband. It is not appropriate. So she's like, I'm sorry. My wife looked at me. She's like, why is she apologizing? So when we came back, I said, you know that lady, she was telling me how beautiful my beard is. She's like, oh, I see. You know, I said, I hope you weren't offended. She's like, no, it's okay. She can compliment your beard. So it depends on the situation, right? So sometimes you know that I'll correct someone and it's going to be positive. So I can go to someone and say, like, I've had this in restaurants all the time. They'll be blasting the music. And I'm like the only one in the restaurant. So I'll tell them, you know, it's very loud. If you can please turn it down, I'd appreciate that. Of course, I don't even listen to music. So they'll come to me, they're like, do you want any particular station? I said, no, I don't listen to music. So if you can kill it, I appreciate that. And they'll go and turn it off.
Or for example, what I'm saying like is, that's...
So it all depends on your approach. Just when we see, the problem is people already judge what forbidding evil means. They think that you have to like bring a sword and chop somebody's head off.
No. That's
so forbidding evil should be done in a gentle way.
Yeah.
If you want it to actually penetrate someone's heart, you're not going to be rude with them. But again, like I said, if you have the ability and you're like a police officer, you don't have to be kind.
Yeah, you don't. That's life.
So it depends on the situation and the person. That's why we say there's no one size fits all answers. I'm not going to go tell the cop, oh, why were you rude to this person? That's his job. His job is to enforce the law. So if somebody's acting up, he's going to put him in his spot. Because sometimes those people, when you're kind to them, they abuse you. I saw a video of a lady cop. She was telling people, get away from the street. You know, they were partying, just going wild in the street. She's like, guys, just get away from the street. Get away from the street. She walked. She's like, look, you're going to get in trouble. Just get away from the street. They were having a water fight. So they took a water gun and they started splashing her. And then they wanted to rush her. So then when the police saw one of their officers down, they rushed them and they started arresting these people. She started very kindly, but sometimes when you show a kind face, people will run all over you. So you need to put your foot down and basically tell them, look, I'm not playing this game. Because abusers, narcissistic people, open sinners, they're not satisfied with you just leaving them alone. They want you to accept them. That's what we're dealing with right now. Immorality in society, they're not just saying, hey, we just want freedom to do what we're doing. That's the last 20 years. Right now what they're saying is, if you don't accept me, then I'm going to put you in jail. There was a resolution passed on the 24th of June, right now, in the state of California. Christian pastors can no longer say that homosexuality is not right. It's illegal. That's the law that they want to pass. Specifically targeting Christians, because they're a powerful bunch when it comes to this issue. Right?
So not that I misinterpret, but I understand what you're saying. If you're experiencing falsehood, either if you have the capability, you can correct it, or you can just simply walk away from that area.
Yes.
So then, if you're at the beach and you're just completely surrounded by falsehood, just people in.
Don't go to the beach at that time. Go at Fajr time. Ain't nobody naked at Fajr. You'll just see the sunrise. It's just you and the seagulls. I've tried it. I used to take guys out to the beach at that time. So you have to be selective. Why go to a place that has problems? It's like somebody saying, I want to go on vacation. I'm like, yeah, go early in the morning before traffic hits. Like, go before the sun rises. The streets will be good. They're like, no, I want to go at like 8 a.m. Like, morning traffic, really? Like, you want to ruin the fun before it even starts? So just be creative, be selective. Are you forced to be at the beach at that hour? Is it an obligation?
No.
That's it. So don't put yourself in harm's way, and recognize that if we are around bad behavior, it will influence us spiritually, whether we like it or not. So it's part of us protecting ourselves, but also protecting society. Like, we have a duty to society to preserve it. We shouldn't have pleasure that Americans and non-Muslims around us are bringing God's destruction to them. We don't want that. If you see a cat burning, do you allow it to suffer, or you just watch it? You're like, yeah, that's so much fun. Or do you try to put the fire out?
No, I 100% I can agree with
So-
you. I just wanted, like, for my own sake, would you label, like, because even like the Saudi enemies people, they said they would even stay away from what's permissible to avoid falling into haram. My understanding is, though, sometimes, for example, circumstance or whatever, like, you just can't change an environment no matter what you do. Would you label it haram? Like, for
I didn't label it. Allah says, فَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُمْ إِنَّكُمْ إِذًا مِثْلُهُمْ. Do not be in their presence. You will be just like them. This is in the Quran. Explicit. وَقَدْ أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكُمْ أَنْ إِذَا سَمِعْتُمْ آيَاتِ اللَّهِ يُكْفَرُ بِهَا وَيُسْتَهْزَأُ بِهَا فَلَا تَقْعُدُوا مَعَهُمْ حَتَّى يَخُوضُوا فِي حَدِيثٍ غَيْرِهِ إِنَّكُمْ إِذًا مِثْلُهُمْ إِنَّ اللَّهَ جَامِعُ الْمُنَافِقِينَ وَالْكَافِرِينَ فِي جَهَنَّمَ جَمِيعًا. Allah didn't give any other options. He says disbelievers and hypocrites. Meaning, if you're in those situations, you choose. Which one are you? Like, there's no believers there. وَالَّذِينَ هُمْ عَنِ اللَّغْوِ مُعْرِضُونَ. Allah describes the mu'minun, right? They stay away from vanity and idle things. May Allah guide us to do
so
that.
mashallah, like in your case, you wouldn't go to the beach unless it's like either in like a time.
I didn't say I'm a saint. I'm saying what's proper.
Oh, that's like the ideal.
What is proper? What is prophetic? That doesn't mean I'm very
That's why-
short of
That's
that.
why I'm asking, like, just for.
I don't. No. Yeah, I will not go. I will not go if there's things like that. Why would I put myself in that situation?
Okay, that's what I'm asking. So
Yeah.
you only go to the beach at like a time where there's not too many people. That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
I mean, the last times I've gone to the beach is with the seminary students.
Okay. That's all I wanted to know what you would
Right?
do.
So like when we walk around, ain't nobody want to be close to us. they will clear the beach for us. But even when we went, because we had the sisters with us, so we went to the pier and we started fishing, and the sisters were at the beach. This way we wouldn't bother them. You know? Yeah, but don't worry about me. Like I'm not that righteous. I'm saying
I just would like to know,
what
like,
the real righteous people do. That's my job. My job is to tell you what the prophets did, what the real righteous people do. If I tell you what I do, I'm full of sins, man. So, but I'm not going to rationalize it. I'm not going to tell you, well, the reason I'm sitting is for some type of wisdom. That's BS. And some people talk this way. So that is not prophetic. The prophets did not tolerate wrongdoing. They didn't see it. They didn't hear it. They didn't engage in it. And if it happened, they left. Because you're either going to be with the angels or with devils. There's no other way. Like devils and angels don't chill together. That doesn't happen. Right? So if you have people engaged in satanic activities, there's no angels. And the righteous feel spiritually sensitive like the angels do. That's why the Prophet ﷺ says, don't eat garlic and come to the masjid because you will harm the angels. The angels get harmed from what the humans get harmed of. Humans hate foul odors. The angels do too. But the angels hate sin. They can't tolerate that. So we want to surround ourselves with angels. Why would I go to a place that's full of devils?
I just because I know a lot of Muslims will go to the beach.
May Allah guide us, man. A lot of Muslims do a lot of things. A lot of Muslims are in the bar too. I mean, the beach is at least like open, right?
Yeah. But I'm just saying the beach is not necessarily what's the word deemed like I know there's bad things, but no one would really compare a beach to a bar. Like that's what I'm saying. From your perspective,
actually, certain sins that happen on the beach is as bad as the bar.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying a typical day, like, oh, we want to do a bonfire today. You know, like just something.
Yeah,
you know.
if it's a bonfire and
But
you're
even
burning the devils, it's all good. Just don't do anything else. Typically, though, on the beach, people are drinking. It's just like a bar.
Exactly.
What is a bar? What do you do in a bar? Drink. Are people drinking on the beach or not? They are.
Yeah.
Okay. The difference is actually in the bar, they may be dressed more appropriately. What do they wear in the beach?
Oh yeah.
They don't wear.
Yeah, yeah.
And when you're not dressed, there is more chances of promiscuity. Right? I remember one time I was with a sheikh and we had gone to a masjid and the masjid was locked. We wanted to do salah. And this drunk man came. He was very loud and obnoxious. And I'm like, because we had some younger people with us. And then the sheikh is older. And the guy started engaging us in conversation. And the sheikh told me, don't say anything. And then he started reading Ayatul Kursi on him. The guy has no clue. And he just like completely neutralized him. The guy just left. Like he came attacking with devils. You read Quran, what's going to happen? You repel them. Right? He didn't have to engage him because the guy is under the influence. But we have to engage the reality that's around us. So alhamdulillah, the guy left. There was no problems, no fights, no cursing, no nothing. He just left. Now, I was younger. I wasn't as educated. So I wanted to like engage the guy and tell him get away from us. To stop him. But stopping him doesn't only mean stopping him in one way. So you read some Quran and the devils will leave. They'll run away. That's all. Okay. فَلَمَّا دَخَلُوا عَلَى يُوسُف. So that's the next ayah in the Quran, but in our book it says وَلَمَّا وَصَلَ يَعْقُوبُ إِلَى مِصْرَ. So now the whole point behind this caravan was to summon Jacob and to bring him to Egypt. So once Jacob arrives to Egypt, استقبله Yusuf. Istaqbala means what?
To go and meet someone.
To receive. To receive with your face, because it's your qubul, your front. So in Arabic right now, if you go to a hotel, the reception desk is called istiqbal. Like right now where Sarah and Lisa are, that's called maktabul istiqbal. Because they receive anyone that comes in. So that's استقبله. So استقبله means he goes out and receives him, although he's the king. And then he says, وَلَا تَسْأَلْ عَنْ فَرَحِهِمَا وَسُرُورِهِمَا. So this is an expression. Don't even ask about how happy and joyous they were. Like, just imagine this. After years of separation, you see your father. After years of separation, you see your son, and he's all grown. You can just imagine that. When else did we have this with a father and son in our book? Earlier in the year. Who? Ismail and Ibrahim. When Ibrahim would visit from Sham to Mecca, right? And he would see him, and they embrace each other, and that's like showing true emotion. وَكَانَ يَوْمًا مَشْهُودًا فِي مِصْرَ. So يَوْمًا مَشْهُودًا literally means a witnessed day, but that's not what it means. Rather, يَوْمًا مَشْهُود is like a great day of celebration. Okay? يَوْمٌ مَشْهُود. So that's an expression in Arabic.
I'm sorry, what kind of day?
A day of great celebration. But if you were to translate it one word at a time, it wouldn't say anything. It would basically say that it's a day that was witnessed. What does a day that was witnessed mean? Right? Let me see what this expression means. يوم مشهود. Look at this. يوم مشهود means يوم يجتمع فيه الناس لأمر ذي شأن يستحق الذكر ولا ينسى. It is a day where people gather together for a very important matter, and this day becomes a day that is forever remembered and commemorated and will never be forgotten. Literally, Memorial Day. Right? So, and it was Memorial Day. What does memorial mean? You're like, that's the day of the soldiers. But what does memorial itself mean? The meaning of memorial. I'll tell you. Memorial means something designed to preserve the memory of a person or an event as a monument or a holiday, a written statement of facts presented to a sovereign, a legislative body, as the ground of or expressed in the form of a petition or remonstrance. Preserving the memory of a person or a thing, commemorative. So we can say a commemorative and memorial day for Yawman Mashhudan. Right? And this is why you gotta sit with me so I can give you these crazy translations. Because Google will not translate Yawman Mashhudan this way. وَكَانَ يَوْمًا مَشْهُودًا فِي مِصْرَ وَكَانَ يَوْمًا مُبَارَكًا. So Yawman Mashhudan has to do with people. This is key. The way people see this is, wow, what a day, like everybody's showing up. But we don't only care about the physical. As believers, what do we care about? The spiritual. What is the spiritual value? So like, let's say you have a day, I'll give you an example, Columbus Day. Right? What's the spiritual value of that? I don't think there is any spiritual value in that, right? Considering all the crimes that happen by that person and what gets perpetuated. So what's the spiritual value of this day? Who's coming? Israel alayhi salam, Jacob is coming and stepping foot in Egypt. His appearance blesses the land. كان يوما مباركا. It brought blessings and bounties from God to the land of Egypt. And that's why, by the way, some of you may know this, there's a lot of people who are Muslim, they're not very, very religious. But they love religious people. And they want the religious people to come to their home. Why do you think? They invite religious people to their home. Why? You're like, but you don't look like you're that righteous, man. He's like, yeah, I know. I'm full of sins. I know that. I have a lot of problems. So why are you inviting the righteous? Barakah. They want the barakah of righteous people in their home. They want the righteous people to pray for them. Right? So again, sometimes we like underestimate people's actions. You don't know that maybe a righteous person visited you, interacted with you. That's the cause for your salvation in the next life. Because righteous people place seeds. When they meet somebody, they're placing a seed there. I know some righteous people, when they invite people for food, the whole time they're cooking, they're praying. Oh Allah, whoever eats from my food, guide them, help them out, facilitate their life. Like, who cooks like that? You gotta be really concerned about people when you pray as you cook. Now look at wicked people. When they cook, sorcerers, they use food. They feed people magic. So they cook something and they put sorcery in it and they mess you up. That's the difference between the righteous and the wicked. The righteous only want good for people, only want good for society, only want good for the environment, only want good for the animals. That's a sign of righteousness. Wickedness is like, I don't care. Apathy. Let them do what they want to do. That's not from Islam. The prophets did not come to be idle and just watch people destroy themselves. What did we say on the camping trip with the bonfire? You said bonfire, right? What did we say?
The moth.
The moth. Tell us. What about the moth, yeah, Maryam?
So.
I wonder who gave you guys the talk on the moth? Who reflected over that?
Yafa.
Yeah. Okay, good. Alhamdulillah. So, tell us.
So we were around the bonfire, and there was one moth that came and it just literally went inside the fire, and everybody saw it burn. So Sister Yafa explained how Rasulullah gave the same analogy that the people are going towards the fire just like the moth. They're flocking towards the fire, which is the doom for them, and Rasulullah is trying to prevent them from going there by their belts.
Holding them back. Pulling them back. It's not fun. Like, no, I want to go there. Right? It's like what parents do with their children.
What's the good translation of the ayah? Azizun alayhi
ما عنتم حريص عليكم بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم. عزيز عليه ما عنتم. It's difficult for him to see you experience difficulty. حريص عليكم, he's extremely concerned. And he is keen on your well-being. بالمؤمنين رؤوف رحيم, he's merciful to the believers. لقد جاءكم رسول من أنفسكم. This is the end of, I think, Surah to Muhammad probably. No, not Muhammad. This is let me give you the reference. Yes, it's, yeah. 128, you got it? Okay. طيب, so وَكَانَ يَوْمًا مُبَارَكًا, it was a day of great blessing. So you can't just say something is Mubarak. It's not up to your discretion. Barakah only comes from righteousness. What Allah says is Mubarak. So olive oil is Mubarak. Honey is Mubarak. Black seed is Mubarak. Those are like physical things. Zamzam water is Mubarak. Then you have times that are Mubarak, like Ramadan, like the last third of the night. These are times of barakah, specific times where God places special value in times, in places, and in people. The most Mubarak of all humans are the messengers of Allah. And the closest you are to the messengers, the more barakah you have. So the more sunnah you follow, the more barakah you'll get. Food has barakah in it. The Prophet says, don't eat from the middle of the plate, eat from the sides, because the barakah descends in the middle. It descends and it spreads. So if you eat from the middle, you're breaking that series of events. طيب. ورفع يوسف أبويه على العرش. Joseph elevates or raises his parents onto the king's bed or throne. That's what arsh means. So the king's sitting station, the couch. وَوَقَعُوا كُلُّهُمْ سُجَّدًا لِيُوسُف, and they all fell down bowing to Joseph. Now, وَقَعُوا, وَقَعَ means to fall. But here, what it means is like they all lowered themselves in respect for Joseph. This is not the same sujood that we make in salah. And we said in Arabic, sujood simply means to bow down. So any type of bowing is called sajda in Arabic. Sujood for us in salah is to bow down on 7.
To bow down
On 7 points. 1, nose and forehead. 2, 3, the 2 knees. 4, 5, and the 2 feet. 6, 7. That's the sajda in Islam. If you don't do that, that's not a sajda.
There's a, this is not irrelevant, but there's a, my uncle listens to rap, and there's a man named AC Alone. Have you ever heard of him?
No.
But anyways, he's like a very intellectual rapper, but he said arm, leg, arm, head.
Yeah, these people are 5 percenters.
5 percenters, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that's really whack.
Yeah. But I just thought that was
Those 5%?
interesting.
5 percenters are called 5% Nation of Islam, and they have certain very, very strange beliefs. Many rappers from the East Coast are 5 percenters, like Wu-Tang Clan. That was in the 90s. They were big, and many still are. So some of them become Muslim eventually, and some of them don't. It's like a black nationalist movement. It's an offshoot of the Nation of Islam. I mean, the Nation of Islam itself has many heresies and heretical beliefs. So these people are even whacker than that. So they say Allah stands for arm, leg, arm, head, which is the human being, the black man. So they believe the black man is God. So that's why when they talk to each other, they say, "What's up, God?" Like when they see another black man, they say, "What's up, God?" Because to them, the black man is God. And this is common in culture. They say sometimes they say kings and queens, but some of them say gods and queens, or gods and goddesses.
I didn't interpret it like that. I just kind of think
It's not interpretation. I'm telling you what they believe. It's not my personal interpretation. I know these guys. Anyway, may Allah guide us and guide them. رفع يوسف أبويه على العرش. So he brought his parents up. Now we never heard anything about his mother. And the Quran doesn't speak about his mom other than in this place. So it says this. فلما دخلوا على يوسف آوى إليه أبويه. When they entered upon Joseph, he brought. It's the same word we had before. Awa ilayhi binyamin. So awa is like to bring close to you. So he brought the closest people to him are his parents. And the tafsir doesn't actually say much here. It just says when Joseph and his children and their spouses came upon Joseph, what he did was he brought his parents and hugged them. Specifically from the whole gang, the whole tribe, he brought his parents and hugged them. وَقَالَ أُدْخُلُوا مِصْرَ إِنْ شَاءَ اللَّهُ آمِنِينَ. He says, enter into this town and you are protected and safe from any harm. Why did he say insha'Allah? To mention Allah's name, tabarrukan wa tayammunan, out of optimism. So this is not making dua and saying insha'Allah. We said that's not correct. You don't say, oh Allah forgive me if you want. No, oh Allah forgive me. You don't put insha'Allah there. So here it's actually insha'Allah tahqiqan, not ta'liqan. Ta'liqan is to leave it hanging. Tahqiqan is to affirm it. There is a difference in insha'Allah. There's insha'Allah tahqiqan and insha'Allah ta'liqan. So ta'liqan is like you don't really know. Tahqiqan is no, you're certain. And you still say insha'Allah. وَرَفَعَ أَبَوَيْهِ عَلَى الْعَرْشِ أَجْلَسَهُمَا عَلى سَرِيرِ الْمُلْكِ بِجَانِبِهِ. So he sat them down next to him in this, the couch of the king, or the bed of the king. وَخَرُّوا لَهُ سُجَّدًا. His parents and his brothers, when they entered upon him, they bowed down to him. And that's why the Mufassirin say, كَانَ السُّجُودُ عِنْدَهُمْ تَحِيَّةً وَكَرَامَةً لَا عِبَادَةً. For Israel at this time, the bowing down was a greeting, and it was giving respect, and it was not an act of worship. Why is that necessary to mention? If it's an act of worship, sujood for us in Islam is an act of worship. What does that mean?
To him
Huh?
Their sharia was
No, forget that. Right now, can you do sujood to me? Why not? Huh?
Only for Allah.
Because worship is exclusively the right of God, right? So we must say here, because the word is similar, sajda. They made sajda. No. This is not the exclusive right of God. This was in their culture a greeting, so you bow down, just like they do in martial arts, right? Now, martial arts, when they bow down, they're actually worshiping the person because they're Buddhist. That's their roots for bowing down. We said in Hinduism, what do they say? Namaste. What does namaste mean?
That's the God in you.
I bow down to the God in you, right? So we don't say that stuff. But that was the practice, so it was completely acceptable. Meaning, Jacob, because why do we say that also? Because the messengers of God will never break a command of God. That's very important. If we said, well, you know, they did it because he's the king. No. Jacob doesn't worry about royal protocol. He's not going to bow down to a human. Rather, he greeted the king, right? Because he only bows down to Allah. Okay. What does he say now? وقال يوسف هذا تأويل رؤياي من قبل قد جعلها ربي حقا. Now we turn all around, full circle, 360. And Joseph says, this is the interpretation of the dream that I had while I was a child. How long does it take for dreams to come true? And you're like, well, it depends what kind of dream, right? So, true dreams, this is specific to ru'ah. It doesn't have to happen overnight. It can take time. He says, قَدْ جَعَلَهَا رَبِّي حَقًّا. My Lord made it come to reality and to fruition. حَيْثُ وَقَعَتْ كَمَا رَأَيْتُهَا فِي النَّوْمِ. I am witnessing it exactly as I saw it in my dream. وَقَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. He doesn't mention that here. But look, Joseph here now, although this is a status, like he's the king, everybody's bowing down to him, he could have just boasted, right? He's like, I'm all that special. Prophets are never arrogant. Remember we mentioned earlier, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, when he conquered Mecca. When he conquered Mecca, which is the greatest day, supposedly, in his life, from a political, militant, revengeful day, they described him as he was sitting on his camel back and his head was so low that it was touching his knee. That his chin was touching his knee. Meaning he was lowering himself in humbleness before his Lord. Conquerors usually walk in how? Have you ever seen pictures? Like, check me out, like Napoleon, right? He's small. Napoleon was very short. But they're like, check me out. I just ruled the world. How did Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam enter Mecca? Complete opposite. This is a key, by the way. Anything that the messengers do, usually disbelievers will go completely against it. And the opposite is also true. Whatever the disbelievers do, the messengers of God will destroy and not do. So some Sahaba would stand in front of the messenger. He would be sitting and they would stand. And he said, what are you guys doing? Sit down. This is what the Romans do to their kings. They just stand. You know how you have like guards? Just standing. Like, sit down. What are you doing? Sit down. You're a human being. We only stand before Allah. We don't stand for another human being. Okay, so then the author here goes back to the original dream. He doesn't say it here. It's not in this sequence. But then the author quotes, إِنِّي رَأَيْتُ أَحَدَ عَشَرَ كَوْكَبًا وَالشَّمْسَ وَالْقَمَرَ رَأَيْتُهُمْ لِي سَاجِدِينَ. I saw in a dream 11 planets, and the sun and the moon, I saw all of them bowing down to me. Where does this come from? The very beginning. This was like chapter 1. What chapter are we on right now? 24? طيب. So I wanted to mention something here. قَدْ أَحْسَنَ بِي إِذْ أَخْرَجَنِي مِنَ السِّجْنِ. He declares in front of everyone, he says, my Lord has given me grace by taking me out of prison. The Mufassirin say, Joseph did not mention the story of the well here because he did not want to shame his brothers and to remind them of their bad actions after he forgave them. When he had the opportunity to do what? To bring back old wounds And to say, see guys, now you're bowing down to me. Remember when you threw me in the well? He didn't say that. He says, my Lord gave me grace by taking me out of prison. Prison had nothing to do with his brothers. Right? So it's almost like he absolved them completely. And you're like, why? Because he forgave them. Yesterday we said he forgave them. He says, La tathriba alaykum. There is no blame on you anymore. You admitted your mistake, I forgave you. Now you may say, well, should we forgive the ones that wrong us? No, you don't have to. I've said that before and I'll repeat it again. If somebody's wronged you, you don't have to forgive them. You can wait until the day of judgment. But if you choose to, that's great. But I'm not going to shame you and tell you must. That's not an Islamic teaching. Then he says, وَجَاءَ بِكُم مِّنَ الْبَدْوِ. He brought you from the desert, because the Israelites at that time, Israel and his children, were Bedouins in the desert of Palestine. So he reminded them of God's blessings on Jacob's family, how he took them out from the desert into the city, and how he brought the whole family together. ذكر أن يعقوب دخل مصر وهو ومن معه من أولاده وأهاليهم وأبنائهم وهم أقل من 100. It's mentioned, so Tabari, one of the greatest scholars of tafsir, he says, it's mentioned that when Jacob entered into Egypt with his children and their families and their grandchildren, there were less than 100. And when they eventually left in Exodus, there were 600,000. A couple of hundred years. It was like 400 years. We'll do that next year, inshallah. We'll read the story of Musa and Exodus next year, inshallah.
Can you repeat the up until the 600,000 it began with what and ended with?
Less than 100.
With who? Who did it begin with?
Jacob.
Oh, okay.
When Jacob entered Egypt with his family, there were less than 100. And eventually, when the children of Israel were kicked out of Egypt, or when they left, actually, they weren't kicked out. They left because Allah told them to leave. There were 600,000. Again, where is those numbers from? Biblical reports. In fact, there's a whole book in the Bible called the Book of Numbers. Book of Numbers is counting the children of Israel, counting the families and how many children they had. It's all names for the most part. So the Book of Numbers. So you have Genesis, Exodus, and then Numbers? Leviticus first, right? Yeah. Leviticus, of course, is the laws, because it's the Levites, and Levites were the priestly class of the children of Israel, the children of Aaron, and that's where many of the commandments are. So like when you want to look up the commandments in the Torah, they'll be there in Leviticus. طيب. وحمد يوسف الله حمدا طيبا كثيرا. And Joseph in this state gave thanks and gratitude to God in a beautiful way, طيبا. Like when he's showing gratitude, he's showing it in a nice way. You know, like sometimes I can tell you, thank you, right? Or I can say, thank you so much, right? The way you express thanks makes or breaks your Thanksgiving. So he praised Allah in a beautiful way. And we have this, we say, Alhamdulillah hamdan kathiran tayyiban mubarakan fi. When we praise Allah, we say, we praise you, O Allah, a beautiful praise, a blessed praise, a plentiful praise. وَشَكَرَ يُوسُفُ عَلَى ذَلِكَ شُكْرًا عَظِيمًا. And Joseph gave thanks and gratitude to God for that a great ways. وَبَقِيَ يَعْقُوبُ وَآلُ يَعْقُوبَ فِي مِصْرَ زَمَنًا طَوِيلًا. And Jacob and the family of Jacob remained in Egypt for a long time. So Alu Yaqub have another name, which is Bani Israel. وَمَاتَ يَعْقُوبُ وَزَوْجُهُ فِي مِصْرَ. Jacob and his wife pass away in Egypt. Okay? And that is chapter 24. Let's read chapter 25. Bismillah. Maryam.
Bismillah. حسن العاقبة ولم يشغل يوسف هذا الملك العظيم عن الله ولم يغيره وكان يوسف يذكر الله ويعبده ويخافه وكان يوسف يحكم بحكم الله وينفذ وينفذ أوامر الله. وكان يوسف لا يرى الملك كثيرا ولا يعده شيئا كبيرا. وكان يوسف لا يحب أن يموت موت ملك ويحشر مع الملوك، بل كان يحب أن يموت موت عبد ويحشر مع الصالحين. وكان دعاء يوسف ربي قد آتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت وليي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين. وتوفاه الله مسلما وألحقه بآبائه إبراهيم وإسحاق ويعقوب صلى الله عليهم وعلى نبينا وسلم.
Okay, Najib.
حسن العاقبة. ولم يشغل يوسف هذا الملك العظيم عن الله ولم يغيره. وكان يوسف يذكر
لا
كان يوسف يذكر الله ويعبده ويخافه. وكان يوسف يحكم بحكم الله وينفذ أوامر الله. وكان يوسف لا يرى الملك كثيرا ولا يعده شيئا كبيرا. وكان يوسف لا يحب أن يموت موت ملك ويحشر مع الملوك، بل كان يحب أن يموت موت عبد ويحشر مع الصالحين. وكان دعاء يوسف ربي قد آتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين. وتوفاه الله مسلما وألحقه بآبائه إبراهيم وإسحاق ويعقوب صلى الله عليهم وعلى نبينا وسلم.
آدم.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قال المؤلف رحمه الله حسن العاقبة.
Yes, حسن العاقبة. It's مضاف إليه.
ولم يشغل يوسف هذا الملك العظيم عن الله ولم يغيره. وكان يوسف يذكر الله ويعبده ويخافه. وكان يوسف يحكم بحكم الله وينفذ أوامر الله. وكان يوسف لا يرى الملك كثيرا ولا يعده شيئا كبيرا. وكان يوسف لا يحب أن يموت موت ملك ويحشر مع الملوك، بل كان يحب أن يموت موت عبد ويحشر مع الصالحين. وكان دعاء يوسف ربي قد آتيتني من الملك وعلمتني من تأويل الأحاديث فاطر السماوات والأرض أنت ولي في الدنيا والآخرة توفني مسلما وألحقني بالصالحين. وتوفاه الله مسلما وألحقه بآبائه إبراهيم وإسحاق ويعقوب صلى الله عليهم وعلى نبينا وسلم.
Okay, حسن العاقبة. Al-Aqibah, we said it comes from Aqib. And Aqib means your heel. The back of your foot is your Aqib. And we said in the hadith, the Prophet ﷺ says, وَيْلٌ لِلْأَعْقَابِ مِنَ النَّارِ. The heels will be burnt if people don't wash them properly in making wudu. So that's aqib. Aqib, from that word we have the word aqiba and the word iqab. Iqab is typically translated as punishment, but that's not actually accurate. Rather, it is the consequence of your action. Iqab is the consequence of your action. If it's bad, it's called iqab. Aqiba is when it's good. So, like, the consequence of our action could either be good or bad, right? So the consequence of bad action is iqab, punishment. And the consequence of good actions is aqiba. But sometimes they're used interchangeably. So sometimes aqiba means bad consequence as well. In this context, husnul aqiba, an excellent ending, an excellent consequence, an excellent result. All of those could be meanings for aqiba. So, I told you what is in my memory box. Now we can read from the book. I'd rather rely on the book than my memory box. So let's see what he says for aqib. Okay? Now Allah says in the Quran, فَكَانَ عَاقِبَتَهُمَا أَنَّهُمَا فِي النَّارِ خَالِدَيْنِ فِيهَا. The result for certain people is that they will be in the fire forever, eternally. And that's why I said it could be used interchangeably. Did we ever look this up before? I think we did. I have a feeling that we did, but you guys don't remember. You're becoming like me. Becoming old. I've made you guys old. Okay. So, aqib also means your child. Your child would be your aqib. Why? Because they're a result of you. And Allah speaks about Ibrahim alayhi salam. وَجَعَلَهَا كَلِمَةً بَاقِيَةً فِي عَقِبِهِ. الزُّخْرُف. Let's look that up. Zukhruf 28. Let's see the context here. Chapter 43, Ayah 28. Okay. وَإِذْ قَالَ إِبْرَاهِيمُ لِأَبِيهِ وَقَوْمِهِ إِنَّنِي بَرَاءٌ مِّمَّا تَعْبُدُونَ إِلَّا الَّذِي فَطَرَنِي فَإِنَّهُ سَيَهْدِينِ وَجَعَلَهَا كَلِمَةً بَاقِيَةً فِي عَقِبِهِ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْجِعُونَ. This is a beautiful sequence about Ibrahim alayhi salam. Let's see if we have it here. If we have it, it would be beautiful. So this says that Abraham says to his father, I am innocent of you and what you worship, except for the one who made me and created me. He will surely guide me to the truth. And then Abraham makes this statement remain in his offspring. So that is the religion of Abraham, is to reject false gods and false worship. That's called Millatu Ibrahim. Okay? But let's see the tafsir of that. Why am I talking about this? جَعَلَهَا بَاقِيَةً فِي عَقِبِهِ. And we says aqib means what? Children, offspring. Very good. جَعَلَهَا بَاقِيَةً فِي عَقِبِهِ. جَعَلَهَا كَلِمَةً. What is this word that is being referred to in the ayah? Because it says جَعَلَهَا كَلِمَةً. مَا هي هذه الكلمة? What is it? No problem, it's okay. That sounds like Wissam Sharif. That's Recite Quran, right? .com? Good. It's okay. You don't have to apologize. It's Quran. I'd rather hear that than hear myself. Do you know what the statement was that he left with his offspring? Can you guys take a guess? People, can you guess? What is the statement that Abraham left for his offspring? Okay, let me help you out. What is the most important statement in this existence? La ilaha illallah. That's the statement that Abraham left for his offspring. That's the religion of Abraham. قال مجاهد وقتادة in its tafsir يعني كلمة التوحيد وهي لا إله إلا الله كلمة باقية في عقبه في ذريته, in his children. So he infused this word in his children. That's what people should do. Infuse righteousness in their children. Qatada says there will always remain in the offspring of Abraham those who worship God alone. And we have another ayah that proves this. جعلها كلمة باقية, chapter 2, ayah 132. ووصى بها إبراهيم بنيه. As Abraham is dying, he gives his children this instruction, this testament. What is this testament? La ilaha illallah. Who are you going to worship after me? And Jacob does the same thing. We're going to see that in the story. Every messenger of God does this to ensure, look, before I pass away, I want to make sure that you guys are good with God. Okay? Husnul aqiba. So we're talking about aqib here, right? Aqibu shahr, it means the end of any given month. Sometimes you read this. It says aqibu shahr. It means the end of the month. When we say, there's another expression in Arabic, رَجَعَ عَلَى عَقِبِهِ. رَجَعَ عَلَى عَقِبِهِ literally means he goes back on his heels. It's like moonwalking, right? But what does it actually refer to? In Arabic, رَجَعَ عَلَى عَقِبِهِ just means he went back to where he came from. Because what are you doing? You're twisting your heel, right? طيب. Then we have, it says al-aqiba, which is our word here. That's what we're looking. But our time is up, so we got to go back to aqiba next time we meet, inshallah. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. Man, I was excited today in this class. When I talk about the messengers of God, I just don't want to stop. This is like the best thing you can do in life, is just talk about these best people who ever lived and try to follow their footsteps. And by the way, the reason why I was mentioning the story with that sister, just a side point, because you know how I said when the brother was telling me, he's like, man, she's crazy. Crazy not in a bad sense. He wasn't calling her insane. He's just like, wow, like she is such a believer that she can care less what people are going to say. Crazy in that sense. So it's not appropriate for us when people who are righteous do the right thing for us to reprimand them, right? And for us to think they're not wise. The righteous people are the wisest people. May Allah make us of them. All right. So we can go off the record now.